Chapter 61. Be ruthless when you hit someone in the face. When Ning's cold face broke into a smile. Our daughter has been born, and she might also be a little genius. That's natural. Wozi must be very smart, just like me. Jiang Luo continued to stick to Wen Ning's stomach and read words, and then he leaned over for a while to listen to the movements of his daughter. Night. Tianyu Hotel. Jiang Luo had just got off the car when a very eye-catching luxury car stopped in front of him. The door opened, and Jiang Huai got out with his girlfriend. Jiang Luo, you're here too? Jiang Luo nodded and said, after all, we were classmates and spent 6 months together, so of course I'm here. If Tianchang hadn't insisted that he come, he wouldn't have. Let's go in together. Jiang Huai led Su Muting into the private room. There were already quite a few people there. I heard that it was young Master Jiang who was treating, so there was no need to pay, so a lot of people came. Young Master Jiang is here, thanks to young Master Jiang, otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to see such a nice private room. Guwei smiled and said, yes, a private room costs tens of thousands of dollars, and I've never been in one before. This time, following young Master Jiang, we've really learned a lot. Jiang Huai sat in the center of the table amidst a round of applause. He smiled and said, a private room only costs a few tens of thousands of dollars. I ordered all these dishes myself, so don't think they're anything special. How could this not be special? Hairy crabs, Buddha's temptation, abalone, and ginseng. I've never eaten anything so good. It's so sumptuous. Class monitor, why did you order so much? Jiang Huai said very generously, after all, I'm your class monitor. Feel free to eat and drink tonight. I'll pay the bill. Good, the class monitor is still generous. Thank you very much, class monitor. Jiang Luo shook his head helplessly and sat in the corner with He Tiancheng. Jiang Huai is still as showy as when he was a child. When will you be back? Your daughter is causing trouble again. She can't see you, so she's being a nuisance. She'll be a real pest in the future, sticking to you like glue every day, and you won't be able to go to school. Jiang Lu's phone rang. It was a message from Wen Ning. He'd only been out for half an hour. Wen Ning, I'll be back after dinner, in an hour at most. Why don't you go to bed first? I'll wait for you. Jiang Lu put the phone down and had a glass of juice. Everyone ordered a fruit platter and all kinds of expensive red wine, whatever was expensive. The red wine is all 18,000 a bottle. Jiang Huai drew in his mouth corners, these people are really rude, just being polite to them, and they took it seriously. But now Jiang Huai was in a difficult situation, and had to let them order. At worst, he would just spend some money, he had a lot of pocket money anyway, and if it wasn't enough, he could ask his family for more. Gu Wei respectfully said, class leader, I toast you, you let us see the style of the capital's #1 hotel. Yes, monitor, I'll drink to you as well. Several more pretty girls came to toast, and Su Muting deliberately pushed Jiang Huai, who pulled her hand away. Surrounded by everyone, he really enjoyed the feeling. You don't need to be polite, just eat and drink as much as you like. Jiang Luo, why aren't you eating? Is it not to your liking? What do you want to eat? Jiang Huai asked. Or is it that you haven't tried anything here? Don't know how to eat it? And this wine, I don't know how to drink it either, I can only drink juice. Jiang Luo laughed and said, thank you, young Master Jiang, for your concern. I'm tired of all this food, and as for this wine, it's not even worth my attention. Jiang Huai suddenly laughed. Jiang Luo, are you joking with me? This bottle of wine costs over 10,000 yuan. Are you sure you've had it before? You haven't seen these dishes before, have you? After all, you're from the countryside. Gu Wei chimed in, yes, Jiang Luo doesn't even think twice about lying. He's tired of this kind of food? He's never even eaten it before. This red wine is a 1978 French specialty that costs more than 10,000 yuan a bottle. Are you sure you've drunk it before? Jiang Luo nodded, saying that he had drunk it before, but that he was now drinking Lafite. Jiang Huai snorted, saying that it was exclusively for the British royal family, and that you could never be sure of getting it, as it was simply not available on the market. Jiang Luo, even if you're going to lie, at least make it a believable lie. Jiang Luo is such a liar, is he a liar? Tianchang pulled Jiang Luo's arm and also felt that his lie was a bit too much. He whispered a reminder, Luor, that's enough. Jiang Luo's face was calm, I'm telling the truth, not a single lie. Go Wei sat next to Jiang Huai and continued to be attentive. Class monitor, this Jiang Luo doesn't even think twice about lying. Why don't you give him a try and let him taste the wine? Yes, you can tell if it's true or not by trying it. Jiang Huai thought this was a good idea, so he waved his hand and told the waiter to bring a few bottles of good wine, the labels already removed. Jiang Luo, dare you try? If you can tell which wine these are, I'll believe you. If you can't, it just shows that you're lying. Tian Chang pulled Jiang Luo back and whispered, no, where have we ever drunk any red wine? Don't try, Luo, you'll be humiliated. Meng Zhou, who had been silent, nodded in agreement, yes, don't try. Jiang Luo patted Tian Chang on the shoulder and assured him, don't worry, I should be able to tell. Wen Ning loves red wine and has all kinds of expensive red wine at home. He has also drunk a lot of it and should be able to recognize it. Jiang Luo, if you're scared, just forget it. I don't like to make things difficult for people either. After all, we're in the same class. As long as you give me a sincere apology, I'll forgive you. It's just a matter of tasting some red wine, of course you can. Shall we start now? Jiang Luo opened the 6 bottles of red wine in front of him, picked up the first bottle, poured it into a glass, and held the stemmed glass with 2 fingers and brought it to his lips. He closed his eyes and took a sniff, then took an elegant sip. Jiang Huai snorted. Jiang Luo pretended to be quite the expert, but he soon revealed his true colors. Jiang Luo, you've drunk and sniffed it, now can you tell me what kind of wine it is? Jiang Huai was sure that Jiang Luo couldn't name it. How could a poor loser who grew up in the countryside know how to taste such high-end red wine? Everyone looked at Jiang Luo, and Tian Chang closed his eyes in despair. Jiang Luo put down the goblet and spoke slowly, Romanée, produced in France, has moderate acidity, diverse layers, and a rich bouquet. It should be a superior product. Tian Chang was confused. What the hell was he talking about? Don't say it, it sounds quite professional. Luo can really talk nonsense, and he almost believed it. Jiang Luo said it so professionally that he seemed to really know about red wine. It's also possible that it's just nonsense. Jiang Huai frowned, you actually know? Have you drunk it before? How could you have drunk this high-end red wine? Jiang Luo looked up and asked, Jiang Shao, did I get it right? Chapter 62-62 What a slap in the face. Jiang Jia was so angry that his teeth were clenched and his back teeth were about to be damaged. How did this Jiang Lu know all this? It should just be a coincidence. You guessed right by chance, and you still have 5 bottles left. Guessing right once is nothing. Jiang Lu shook his head helplessly. This Jiang Jia just had to be better than him, but when Ning had taught him that he could taste out all kinds of red wine as long as it was there. Jiang Luo was right. Tian Chang was also puzzled. When had Luo become so good that he knew the various types of wine, even though this was the first time he had drunk it? Jiang Luo continued to taste the wine, with a noble air about him in every gesture. He didn't look like a poor boy from the countryside, but clearly a young master even more noble than Jiang Huai. When Ning had taught him all this, Jiang Lu whispered, savoring the wine slowly. In the past, he was timid and knew nothing, but he had met Wen Ning for most of the year, and she had taught him a lot. Wine tasting, horseback riding, golf, all kinds of entertainment. Wen Ning had taken him to the most high-end venues in the entire imperial capital, so naturally, she was not afraid of this young master Jiang Di. Jiang Luo slowly put down the goblet. The Tuscan red wine from Italy was sweet and full-bodied, not bad. Jiang Huai clenched his fists. Damn, Jiang Luo had guessed it right again. He refused to believe that he could still get it right. Jiang Luo took another sip with a composed air. The Paturas from France was moderately sweet and tasted very good. Another correct guess. Keep going. Jiang Huai gritted his teeth. He just couldn't believe that Jiang Lu could get it right. How could Jiang Lu possibly know about these things? No one had ever taken him to such a high-end place before. Rioja, Spain, a bit sour, considered a famous wine. Another correct guess. Jiang Huai's face turned pale, and he continued. He just couldn't believe that Jiang Lu hadn't made a single mistake. El Miller, Germany, with diverse layers and a sweet taste. Jiang Huai's face visibly grew even gloomier. There was just one last one left, and Jiang Lu might not get it right. Jiang Luo put down the last goblet. As for this last one, it is Australian Barlow, which has a long aftertaste after entering the mouth and is also a superior product. He got all 6 bottles of famous wine right. And Zhang Luo can also describe the characteristics of these red wines, which is not something that ordinary people can do, even Zhang Jia can't do it. At most, he can just recognize the brands. Zhang Luo is really amazing. I have never heard of some of these names, but he can taste them all out. Is he really a poor boy born in the countryside? I don't think so. Zhang Luo's temperament doesn't look like that of a poor boy from the countryside. Tian Chang was still in a daze for a long time. After a while, he touched Zhang Luo's arm. Luo, when did you become so good at this? How come your brother didn't know? Zhang Luo said seriously, I had to know this when I worked part-time in a hotel. Tian Chang suddenly understood. Zhang Jia's face turned from green to purple, his expression extremely rich. He had intended to embarrass Zhang Luo, but instead he had made him the center of attention. These wines are very expensive, international brands. This time, the loss really outweighs the gain. Zhang Luo, how did you know so much? Zhang Luo's tone was flat, that's not for young Master Zhang to worry about. Now can you prove that? I'm not lying? Zhang Jia clenched his fists, a smile on his face, natural. Zhang Luo was telling the truth. He was amazing, good at basketball, good-looking, and knew how to taste wine. Many classmates wanted to chat up Zhang Luo, but he politely declined. Sorry, I already have a girlfriend. Jiang Huai deliberately asked, Zhang Luo, who is your girlfriend? How come I don't know? Young Master Jiang, you're meddling in my affairs. Who my girlfriend is none of your business. Jiang Huai smiled with a face of indifference, just being concerned about his classmate. After all, I'm the class president, so just continue eating and drinking. The crowd continued to revel, but Zhang Luo was in no mood. He was waiting to go home to sleep with his wife and children. While others were carefree, he was already a man with a wife and children. Tian Chang, on the other hand, was not suffering. He drank several bottles of red wine, only choosing the expensive ones, and kept asking the waiter to bring more when he ran out. Zhang Huai gritted his teeth and asked, Tian Chang, are you eating this much tonight too? Well, class monitor, you don't know how much I eat. Waiter, bring me another hump. Class monitor, you won't refuse, will you? If I don't have the money, I won't order. Zhang Huai said generously, how could I? I said I'm treating tonight. Order whatever you like. When the bill came, the waiter announced an astonishing amount, 1.86 million. Zhang Huai had budgeted for less than 200,000, which was more than enough. Who would have thought that these people could eat so much? Eat, eat, eat. Are they pigs? Su Muting asked, did you report the wrong amount? How could it be so much? We only ordered wine and a few dishes. The waiter patiently explained, Miss, Box 3 ordered a total of 68 bottles of red wine, as well as 12 bottles of the most expensive red wine, with the cheapest bottle costing 30,000 yuan. These dishes are all famous dishes, with some costing more than 10,000 yuan per dish, and some costing more than 30,000 yuan per dish. May I ask if you are paying by credit card or? Zhang Huai pinched his eyebrows and took out the main card from his pocket to swipe it. Okay, sir. The waiter took out the credit card machine on the spot, but it didn't seem to respond when it made 2 beeps. Sir, your card has been frozen. Zhang Jia suddenly opened his eyes. What? It's been frozen. Try again. The waiter swiped the card again, but there was still no movement. The people around looked at each other in confusion. With over 1.8 million, Zhang seems unable to pay. What should we do? They're not going to let us pay, are they? I don't have that much money. It's 50,000 per person. Yeah, all I have in my pocket is the fare home. 50,000 yuan is killing me. Class monitor, you can't be broke, right? If you don't have any money, why did you let us go out and eat so well, and then you couldn't even pay the bill with your credit card? Yeah, I regret it. Zhang Huai listened to the surrounding discussions, and his face had turned black like the bottom of a pot. Today is really a total disgrace. I wanted to take this opportunity to embarrass Zhang Luo, but I never thought I would embarrass myself instead. Zhang Huai said sternly, you guys go ahead, I'll have my father pick me up in a bit. Okay, class monitor, we'll go first, bye. They all ran faster than rabbits, afraid to pay. Before long, the compartment was empty. Even Zhang Luo's girlfriend left. Zhang Luo stood up and stopped next to Zhang Jia. Zhang Jia, now you see clearly that these people are after your money. So what? I'm rich, Jiang Luo, you envy me, don't you? I'm the eldest son of the Jiang family, while you are a poor country bumpkin with nothing. Jiang Luo shook his head and said, No, I don't envy you, nor do I envy anyone else. I only envy myself. Because he will soon have a daughter. Chapter 63. He used to be an innocent teenager. Jiang Jie sneered, Jiang Luo, you can keep up the pretense. My card may be frozen, but my father has money and will come to pick me up in a while. Jiang Luo nodded and said, Then wait patiently. I'll go back first. Wait. Jiang Lu stopped in his tracks. What else do you want to ask? Why do you think I know so much about fine wine? Of course, someone taught me. As for who, I have no comment. Jiang Huai's mouth curled up in a mocking arc. Jiang Lu, it seems you've climbed up the social ladder. BMW bought it for you, didn't she? Is she an aging woman, or is she an old rich woman who supports you? Jiang Huai, can't you think of something nice? Although he was indeed forced to be supported by a rich woman, his wife is very beautiful. She is not an old woman at all, but a sickly rich woman. Jiang Luo, don't pretend to be noble, you are supported by an old rich woman. Jiang Luo sighed, if thinking this way can make you happy, just think this way, I have to go back to accompany my girlfriend, she will be angry if I go back late. Jiang Huai looked at Jiang Luo's departing back, his face was as gloomy as water. Today was a total loss of face, and I was still left here. When Jiang Luo returned home, it was already past 10 o'clock. The entire manor was brightly lit, and there were servants cleaning the flower beds outside. Wen Ning was lying on the sofa in her maternity pajamas, which had a unique charm. After becoming pregnant, her figure had improved, and the softness of her breasts was about to burst out, making Jiang Luo's mouth dry. Wen Ning hadn't pounced on him for a long time. Why didn't you go rest? Jiang Luo sat down next to Wen Ning, and as soon as he sat down, he was attacked by the female devil, who hugged his neck and kissed the corner of his lips. Of course I was waiting for you. Why did you come back so late? Have you been drinking? I had the kitchen make you a hangover soup, so you won't get a headache tomorrow. Jiang Luo shook his head and said, I had some red wine, but it was very weak, so I'm fine. Are you really fine? Really, don't worry, just take care of the baby. Jiang Luo pressed his ear against Wen Ning's stomach. Nua, daddy is home, it's time for bed, are you asleep? It's late, my daughter is asleep. In the end, Wen Ning still ordered the kitchen to prepare a bowl of hangover soup. Drink it. Jiang Luo looked at the dark soup in front of him and decisively shook his head. Can I not drink it? I only had a little red wine, Jiang Jie forced me to taste it, but he didn't expect that I could even taste it, and in the end, he was the one who was humiliated. Wen Ning raised the corner of his eye, so the little school bully is so amazing? Well, you taught me before, and I've tasted many types of red wine. He's only tasted a small part of it. Wen Ning held Jiang Luo's face and said, So how do you want to thank me for helping you out so much? Jiang Luo whispered, I don't have anything. I'll repay you when I'm rich. Wen Ning lowered her eyes, implying something, why don't you repay me with this tonight? Then Wen Ning got her hands on him again. Jiang Luo's whole body twitched, and he quickly took Wen Ning's hands away from his mischief. This female devil knows only to bully him every day. Jiang Luo stammered, You still have a baby in your belly, and the baby has now grown up, so it's not allowed. Wen Ning continued to squeeze, raised her eyelids, and asked, Why? It's been several months since last time, Jiang Luo, hurry up and hug me up. Jiang Luo was aroused by Wen Ning's provocation, his heart beating rapidly. He hugged Wen Ning and carried her upstairs, and placed her on the soft bed. You rest, I still need to shower. I also need to shower, but my stomach is too big, I can't shower by myself, can you help me? Wen Ning knelt on the bed with her big belly, her skirt could not cover her pair of white and slender legs at all, especially that soft mound, which could not be covered at all. Jiang Luo, who was watching, could not help salivating. For so long, he actually wanted to. It's all Wen Ning's fault, he clearly wasn't like this before, he used to be a pure young boy. It was all because of Wen Ning that he had been seduced. Fine. Jiang Luo carried Wen Ning to the bathroom and adjusted the water temperature before placing her in the bathtub. Wen Ning's pajamas were wet and clung to her body, making her stomach look even bigger and her chest fuller. Her face was charming and moving, and she looked like a real female demon. Jiang Luo was so mesmerized that his mouth went dry. Wen Ning, you soak for a while, I'm going out. Wen Ning, however, took Jiang Luo's wrist and licked her lips. What's the hurry? You're not going to bathe with me? The floor is slippery. What if I fall? John Luo was also worried and just watched from the side. Okay, I'll wait for you. Wen Ning took off her wet pajamas outside. Her skin was smooth and delicate, glowing under the light, and her legs were long and thin. The most eye-catching thing was her belly, big and round. Thinking that the baby inside was his, John Luo's ears turned red again, and he felt a little thirsty. Wen Ning, I'm going to get some water first, I'll be back in a while. Little genius, come and wash with me. Wen Ning gave John Luo a finger wave, and John Luo felt his heart stir. This woman is really attractive, and he simply couldn't resist. No, you go ahead. It's just a shower, come here. John Luo could only be bullied by this female demon, slowly taking off his jacket, leaving a white shirt and shorts on his body. Are you taking a shower? Why aren't you taking off your clothes? John Luo tightly covered the collar with both hands, I don't need to take it off. Then, when Ning personally took John Luo's clothes off, threw them down, pointed at John Luo's shorts, and raised the corner of his eye. Do you need any help? I don't mind. John Luo had no choice but to take off his clothes himself and bathe with this female demon. The bathtub was already very big, so John Luo hid directly in the corner, afraid that this female demon would do something to him again. Come over to me, what are you hiding so far away for? I'm not going to eat you. John Luo slowly walked over to Wen Ning, who directly pushed the person against the corner, and those hands were again being unruly. John Luo's ears turned red. Wen Ning, stop touching me. Wen Ning shamelessly said, let me see if you've grown up, and give you a good examination. Wen Ning, really, there's no need. John Luo hung his head, completely unable to defend himself against the female devil. He obviously wanted to touch him, but he even spoke so grandly. Shameless. Wen Ning is so shameless. Of course you need it, you'll be my husband in the future. Wen Ning kissed John Luo on the cheek and deliberately breathed hot air in his ear. Not bad, you've grown a little more. John Luo's ears turned redder. Wen Ning, stop it, our daughter is still here. Nuozi is still young, she can't hear what we're saying, maybe she can grow a little more in the future. When Ning's hand continued to cause trouble, John Luo was helpless. This woman is still so overbearing even though she's pregnant. Chapter 64 John Lu accepted a villa with tears in her eyes. In the end, Wen Ning was very satisfied with the result and kissed John Lu's Adam's apple. His Adam's apple had also grown. John Lu supported Wen Ning's belly with both hands, her ears red and bleeding. Wen Ning, you can't go too far, Nuozi is still here. I'm being very careful. Wen Ning had come just once, so how could she let John Lu go? It was only when dawn was about to break that they finally stopped. John Lu was tired. She cleaned the man up and put him to bed. Seeing as she was pregnant, she forgave her. Fortunately, Wen Ning was mindful of the child in her belly, and had been very well behaved this month. Except when she couldn't help it, and then she would let Jian Luo touch her. The new year was in half a month, and the entire imperial capital was full of joy, with firecrackers going off from time to time. Jian Luo's birthday was today, and Wen Ning got up early with her big belly, and instructed the kitchen to prepare boiled eggs. Jian Luo watched with trepidation. Wen Ning's belly was really huge, much bigger than it normally would be at 8 months. He wondered if there were 2 babies inside, preferably 2 daughters. That way, he would have 2 little darlings. Jian Lu thought happily. When his little darlings were born. Wen Ning, I can handle this. Today is your birthday, I was going to make you a cake myself, but, judging by the situation, I don't think that's going to happen. Wen Ning pointed at her stomach. The little guy inside is restless again. It's okay, Wei Ning, just sit down. Jian Luo helped Wei Ning sit on the sofa and said, take care of your pregnancy, don't worry about your birthday, just have a casual meal. No way, this is your 19th birthday, I ordered a cake, it will be delivered this afternoon. Okay. Jian Luo kept an eye on Wei Ning, afraid that something would happen to her. Early in the morning, Jian Luo was forced by Wen Ning to eat several poached eggs, and she received several blessings on her phone. Jian Luo, happy birthday. Jian Luo, happy birthday. Jian Luo replied to each one. Jiang Luo, it's your birthday, I'll come find you, let's go out for lunch together, we used to go out to eat together. Thanks, no need, my girlfriend and I are having lunch together. Girlfriend, okay. Zhang Yi was still unwilling to accept it. It was obvious that Jian Luo had been her childhood sweetheart, but now he was spending his birthday with another woman. It was obvious that she had always been the one by Jiang Luo's side, but why didn't he like her? Why? Zhang Yi threw everything on the table onto the floor, her expression hideous. She would definitely win Jiang Luo back, she would. When she went to get the cake, Jiang Luo realized just how big a cake Wen Ning had ordered for him. A whole 7-layered cake. This is definitely the biggest cake he has ever seen. Do you like it? Wen Ning asked, holding Jiang Luo's face. Yes, thank you. In the past, when his family was poor, it was already very difficult for his grandmother to afford to send him to school. On his birthday, his grandmother would boil him an egg, and he had never eaten a cake before. Jiang Luo was really happy with such a big cake, and took a special photo of it to post in his circle of friends, where only he could see it. The cake his girlfriend bought is really big. Wen Ning put her hands behind her back, looking mysterious. Jiang Luo, in addition to this gift, there is another gift for you. What gift? Jiang Luo was stunned when a red property ownership certificate was shoved into his hands. This is Wen Ning's birthday gift to you, a villa in a wealthy district in the northern suburbs. A villa? Wen Ning, I only need a small house, a very small one. Why did you buy me a big villa? I don't want such a big one. Jiang Luo returned the property ownership certificate to Wen Ning. Wen Ning put his hands up in the air. It's no use giving it back to me now, it's in your name. How much more is it? Jiang Luo asked tentatively. Wen Ning held up 5 fingers, and Jiang Luo suddenly broke out in a sweat. 55 million. So expensive? Doesn't that mean he has to sleep with her for 500 days, more than a year? Wen Ning raised his eyebrows. No, it's 50 million. On hearing this, Jiang Luo's legs went weak. 50 million. Someone please calculate for him how many days he has to sleep with her. Jiang Luo almost fell to his knees. Wen Ning raised her hand and said, Suchi, calculate for Jiang Luo how many days he has to sleep with her. Do a good job and don't make any mistakes. Suchi picked up the calculator and said, Master Jiang Luo, it's 13.69 years in total. Since General Manager Wen is so generous, you can throw away the decimal places, so you need to sleep with her for 13 years in total. Suchi deliberately placed the calculator in front of Jiang Luo's eyes. Master Jiang Luo, take a look and see if I've made any mistakes. Jiang Luo stared at the numbers on the screen, his whole body confused and his mind empty. That's 13 years, not 13 days. After 13 years, his daughter will be 13 years old, and he will be an old uncle in his 30s. Can he still go on sweet dates? Jiang Luo broke down and threw the property ownership certificate onto the table again. Wen Ning, I don't want the villa anymore. No way, this is my birthday gift to you, how can you not want it? Keep it well. Wen Ning put the item back in Jiang Luo's hands and said, keep it well for me, don't lose it. Jiang Luo was about to cry, I really don't want it. Be obedient, this is my promise to you. In the end, Jiang Luo accepted a villa with tears in his eyes. There was nothing he could do, his wife insisted on giving it to him. Sigh, having a rich wife is no good, what if she insists on giving him real estate? 2 months later. Wen Ning finally went into labor and arrived at the hospital a week early. Jiang Luo was so nervous that he stayed here with Wen Ning the whole time, bringing her tea and water. Wen Ning, where is your family? If I'm not here, let them keep you company. Wen Wan looked up and said, family? My sister had a falling out with her family over having this baby, and my grandfather wouldn't let her come home. Wen Ning caused a huge commotion at the time. Jiang Luo felt a pang of guilt in his heart again, took Wen Ning's hand, and whispered, I'm sorry, I can't help you either. Wen Ning lifted her hand and gently stroked Jiang Luo's handsome face. It's not your fault, I'm the one who insisted on keeping this child. Wen Ning, I don't have any parents, where are yours? Wen Wan answered first, my parents went on a trip and haven't come back for a year. I don't know when they'll be back. Jiang Luo. Trip? Around the world trip? Wen Ning nodded, well, they respect my decision and should be back soon. They said they want to come back and see their precious granddaughter. Jiang Lu drew the corners of his mouth, these parents, they have big hearts. Where are his parents? Jiang Lu looked at Wen Ning's round belly and gently stroked it with his large hand. He will definitely be a good father, the best father who loves his daughter the most. Chapter 65 It's a son, but where's his plumpness? Jiang Luo brings Wen Ning nutritious breakfasts from home every day, fearing that she and her daughter will get hungry. Wen Ning's stomach is so big that walking is a problem, but her face is very thin, her skin is cold and white, and her lips are a little pale. Wen Ning, why is your belly so big? Could it be that you're pregnant with twins? Wen Ning sat on the bed in a loose-fitting black nightdress. Her long, black waves fell over her full breasts. She lowered her eyes and gently stroked her belly. Maybe it is 2 daughters. Jiang Lu was excited. Really? 2 girls, one named Nuonyuo and the other. What should I call her? I'll think of something. Wen Ning looked up. Don't think about it yet. Maybe it's 2 boys. No, I think it's 2 daughters. It's impossible to have twins, the probability of twins is too small. How could such a happy event be resolved in one pregnancy? Jiang Lu didn't even dare to think about it. Time passed quickly, and on the 8th day, Jiang Lu received a message during class. Jiang Lu, Nuonyuo is about to be born. Wen Ning, wait for me, I'll be out of class soon. Jiang Lu rushed back after class. Tian Chang shook his head as he watched Jiang Lu's back. Mango, why do you think Jiang Lu is in such a hurry? It's like his wife is about to give birth, and he's never around except when he's in class. Mangzhou shook his head decisively. I don't know, maybe there's something important. Let's go to lunch. Can he not be in a hurry? His wife is really about to give birth. Zhang Luo just walked to the door and opened his BMW. Zhang Yi and a few of his girlfriends were also outside, and they seemed to have seen Zhang Luo. Zhang Yi, look, it's your boyfriend. He even has a car, and it looks like he's pretty rich, too. It's a BMW, not bad. Today we're not going out to dinner, so let him take us around. He shouldn't mind. Zhang Yi looked a little embarrassed. Jing, it's better if we don't. Oh, Zhang Yi, it's your boyfriend, what are you embarrassed about? Let me go, I don't want to take a taxi, and I have to pay for it. It's silly not to use a ready-made boyfriend, isn't it? Lu Jingwen walked up to Jiang Luo, righteous and confident. Classmate Jiang, Zhang Yi wants to go to the Golden Triangle Huamao Mall, can you take us there? Jiang Luo opened the car door and was about to get in. This student, I'm really sorry, I have something urgent to do, I'll go first. After saying this, Jiang Lu did not hesitate to close the car door and start the car. Several people ate a mouthful of car exhaust, and Lu Jing was even more angry and stomped her feet. Zhang Yi, your boyfriend is too much, he doesn't even give you a ride. Yes, Zhang Yi, you and Jiang Lu are boyfriend and girlfriend, why haven't I seen you two get along, just talking? Zhang Yi's fingers tugged at her clothes, nervously explaining, Jiang Lu is just like this, let's go quickly. Zhang Yi, you're not lying to us, are you? Jiang Luo is not your boyfriend at all. Jiang Luo is my boyfriend. We've been childhood sweethearts. Sometimes we'd dig for birds' eggs together. Don't ask, he's just like that, a bit shy. Zhang Yi stammered as she explained. It's been more than half a year, Jiang Luo and his girlfriend should have broken up by now. Tomorrow she'll go after Jiang Luo. Zhang Yi secretly made up her mind that she must get him. By the time Jiang Luo arrived at the hospital, Wen Ning had already been wheeled into the delivery room. Wen Wan anxiously waited outside, accompanied by 2 other middle-aged men. Wen Wan, how is Wen Ning? Jiang Luo, you're back. My sister just went in. She's in a stable condition. Wen's father frowned. This is the baby's father? He's so young. 18 or 19, still in college? You are. Wen's father coughed a few times. I'm Wen Ning's father. Did she bully you? You look so young, she couldn't have forced you, could she? Jiang Luo was speechless. It was true that Wen Ning had forced him. Wen's mother took hold of Wen's father's hand and said unhappily, Wen, how can you say that? How can you say that about your own daughter? Even though Ning is a bit bossy, you can't say that. Look at what your daughter has done, bullying a college student who was only 18 or 19 years old. He's still so young, and she's already got him to have a child. Wen's mother sobbed, Ning had a hard time giving birth too, and she's probably crying right now. My poor daughter. Jiang Luo explained, Uncle Wen Ning didn't actually force me. We both decided to keep the baby together. Don't worry, I'll take good care of Wen Ning and the baby. Although I'm still young, I'll graduate in 3 years and I can work to earn money. Wen's mother wiped away the tears from her face. Really, you will really take good care of Ning and the baby? You have to keep your word. Auntie Wen, don't worry, I will definitely keep my word. John Luo was about to swear to the heavens. Auntie Wen nodded repeatedly. Good, you are a very decent boy, although you are a bit young, I believe you. Her daughter is indeed a bit immoral, and this boy is also too young. John Luo anxiously paced back and forth outside. It's been so long since he went in, why hasn't he come out yet? Nothing bad has happened, right? God bless Wen Ning, give her all the luck in the world. Wen, it's been so long since you went in, I'm a little worried. You said Ning Ning never lets us worry, so she should be fine this time. Wen's father was also nervous and anxious, so he reassured her, yes, she'll be fine. The Wen family never came, and they didn't recognize the baby, nor did they recognize John Luo. John Luo was counting the seconds, and she couldn't contain her anxiety. John Luo, you sit down and rest for a while. My sister is having the baby, so it may take a while. Having the baby made John Luo even more anxious. He sat on the chair with clenched fists. It must hurt a lot to have the baby. In the future, he had better be nice to that female devil Wen Ning. Finally, after about an hour, the sound of a baby crying rang out, and the door was finally opened. John Luo immediately pounced on it, excitedly asking, How is it? How is my wife and child? They are both safe and sound. The pregnant woman is in good condition and the baby is a big, fat boy. Upon hearing this, John Lu froze. He stood there in a daze, his mind a blank. What did he hear? A son. It's a son? Where's his wife? The baby looks so happy, why isn't it saying anything? It took a long time for John Lu to react, and he asked again, Is it a son? Yes, both mother and child are safe. John Luo glanced at the little guy in the doctor's arms. He was covered in bruises, his big dark eyes wide open, not crying or making a fuss, and he looked ugly. How could his son be so ugly? He had thought that he would inherit his looks, but it seems that he had been thinking too much. His heart was completely dead. His Nuoniu was gone. Just then, there was a faint sound of crying. John Luo, his fist clenched in excitement, asked, There's another one? Chapter 66. His Nuoniu, his precious daughter, has finally arrived. It must be Nuoniu. It's his precious daughter. John Lu prayed to the heavens and the earth, to all the gods and immortals, hoping that it would be a daughter. It must be a daughter. Her Nuoniu, it must be Nuoniu. John Lu anxiously waited, and after a few more minutes, a faint cry sounded. Congratulations, you have a daughter and a son. She is a little princess, and she is so beautiful. Is she the first baby I have seen that is so beautiful right after birth? John Lu finally saw his daughter. She looked dirty, but her facial features were very beautiful. Her eyes were round and cute. Nuonuo, it is Nuonuo. She looks exactly like the daughter in his dreams. John Lu's trembling hands were shaking with excitement. He wanted to pick up the baby, but when he reached up into the air, he pulled back. He didn't know how to hold the baby and was afraid of dropping it. After the bath, the two little ones returned to their mother's arms. They lay there side by side, motionless. They are twins, and the chance of having twins at such a young age is so small. Wen's mother couldn't help but praise her, and she couldn't put the baby down. When Wan nodded repeatedly, saying, My sister is amazing, she gave birth to twins. John Luo tenderly wiped Wen Ning's face and glanced at the little Nuonuo again. Nuonuo stretched out a small paw and grabbed one of his father's fingers. Ah! Omega! John Luo was meeting a baby for the first time, and it was still his baby, so he was simply melted and poked the baby's little face. Nuonuo, do you know your father? Ah! The baby used both little paws to grab his father's fingers. John Lu still didn't dare to hold the baby. After all, he was a novice father and didn't know how to hold it. What if he dropped his precious daughter? When Ning opened her eyes, she looked pale and a little weak. John Lu, it's Nu. John Lu should be very happy this time, having a daughter. Thank you, Wen Ning, she's our Nu. She's so pretty, exactly like the Nu in my dreams. There's also a little guy. John Luo looked at the baby next to him. He looked dark and handsome, and his facial features were especially like his. He was literally a miniature version of him. Could this be his son? John Luo stroked the baby boy's face. You don't have a name. How about I give you one? After all, there was no plan for a son, so let's just make one up. Wow! The little guy had a loud voice, and after a while he scratched his father's clothes and smiled happily. Jiang Lu said he didn't like the son, but he actually liked him very much. After all, it was his baby, so he kissed him again and again. Wen Ning shook her head helplessly and asked, Jiang Lu, what are you going to call him? Jiang Lu thought for a moment and said, how about calling him Little Dolphin? He's like a little dolphin in the river, free and carefree. Okay, let's call him Little Dolphin. You will be called Little Dolphin from now on. Your father gave you this name. Do you like it? Wen Ning poked Little Dolphin's face gently. Little Dolphin held out his two little hands and grabbed his mother's clothes. Wow! Dolphin likes it very much, doesn't he? Jiang Luo strokes his baby's little hands. Dolphin really likes the name your father gave you, doesn't he? You have to protect your sister from now on. Wow! Dolphin grabs Jiang Luo's finger. The little one is talking to his father, as if he can hear his voice. Jiang Luo has been giving his baby daily prenatal education, so the baby has long since recognized his voice. Wen Ning, Dolphin really likes the name I gave him, and he's holding onto my hand really tightly. The little dolphin likes his father. Jiang Luo smiles as he looks at the little dolphin. He kept saying he didn't like his son, but in the end, he really likes him. Wow! Jiang Luo releases the little dolphin and goes to see the little glutinous rice. The little glutinous rice has been washed clean and is a very clean baby. His big black eyes are like grapes, with long eyelashes, a small and cute nose tip, and a rosy face. So pretty. Jiang Luo gently picked up the baby, supporting her little head with one hand. Nunu, I'm your father, say daddy quickly, I'm your father. Wow. Nunu looked at her father with her dark eyes, and suddenly she smiled, wow. Wen Ning, Nunu just smiled at me, look, she smiled at me, she can even smile, does she like me as her father, so she smiled at me. Jiang Luo said excitedly. Well, Nuonia likes her father. It could also be that she heard your voice. In the past, you talked to her every day. Jiang Luo couldn't hold his dutiful daughter enough, and was full of happiness. They are all his babies, they are his. Nuonio, I'm your father, say daddy quickly, it's daddy. Wow wow. The baby couldn't speak, and reached out her two little hands to grab at her father. After a while, the little dolphin suddenly opened her mouth and cried. Wah wah. Jiang Luo was at a loss for what to do. He couldn't calm the baby down no matter what he did. The little dolphin kept crying with its mouth wide open. Wen Ning, what's wrong with the little dolphin? Why is it crying all the time? Wen's mother petted her baby's head and said, it's probably hungry. Where's the maid I hired? I hired several of them to take care of Ningning while I was away. Before long, Suchi arrived with a group of experienced postpartum care nurses. They were the most experienced postpartum care nurses in the entire capital, and Suchi had managed to get them all. The postpartum nanny prepared the milk, while Jiang Luo watched and learned. He would need to take care of the baby in the future, so he wanted to learn as much as possible. Sure enough, the little dolphin immediately stopped crying when a small bottle was inserted into his mouth. With wide eyes, he sucked on the milk diligently, holding the bottle with his little hands, as if he were afraid someone would take it away from him. What about Nuonuo? Does she drink too? The postpartum nanny took Nuonuo over to feed her, while Jiang Luo watched attentively. Wen Ning, are these the people you hired? Well, they are very professional at feeding babies. After a while, the baby was put to bed after being fed. The two little ones were crying and whining, not at all quiet, and they looked like very naughty babies. Jiang Luo lay next to Nuonuo and teased the little one, kissing her little face. Nuonuo, I'm your father, do you remember my voice? I'll read you English words. Wow wow. The baby laughed happily, sticking out her tongue, and grabbed at her father's clothes with her two little hands, as if she recognized him. It's daddy, call daddy, Nunu is good. Wow. Nunu waved her little hands and spoke to her father. Jiang Lu was excited and moved, wondering why his daughter was so cute. Chapter 67 Hurry. I'm waiting to go home to breastfeed my daughter. Wen Mu was worried. Ning Ning, after all, is our Wen family's child. If the old man doesn't approve of your marriage, these children won't be able to enter the family tree. Wen Ning whispered, Mom, this is Jiang Luo's child, so he will take his surname. Mom knows that Xiao Luo is a good boy, but after all, he is still a university student and cannot raise a baby. How about this? One takes your surname and the other takes his surname. Before Wen Ning could say anything, Jiang Luo had already agreed. Okay, let's do it this way. Jiang Luo. Jiang Luo interrupted Wen Ning. I know that I am not able to raise a baby right now, but after I graduate, I will work hard to earn money. Wen Ning patted Jiang Luo's hand. Okay, I promise. Thank you. Jiang Luo continued to hold her daughter as they walked back and forth. The little one was full of energy, and her two little hands kept moving, grabbing her father's clothes for a while. Wow! Omega asterisk. Ning, you shouldn't go against what the boss says either. Right now, the company's decision-making power is still in his hands, so you should go along with him for now, and we'll talk about the rest later. Your father just couldn't stand being controlled by him, that's why he refused to stay at the company, and this heavy responsibility has been passed on to you. Wen's mother thought about it and felt a wave of guilt. Wen Ning shrugged. You two don't travel the world every day, haven't you had enough for 2 years? Come back and bring your grandson. Ning, your father doesn't want to stay in the company, so the important task of the company is still up to you. We're going to leave in a few days. Wen Ning drew back the corners of her mouth. I feel a little guilty, but not much. Okay, you guys go have fun. Wen's mother whispered apologetically. Ning, you've really suffered. I also want to bring Nuanyuan, but I want to spend some time with your father. I'll leave you and Luo alone. In less than 5 years, I can take the company back from your grandfather. Ning, you work hard, I believe in you. Luo is such a good boy, he's a good match for you. I wish you both the best. Jiang Luo was inexplicably praised, and he felt awkward and touched his nose. He had thought that Wen Ning's parents would not like him, a poor boy. For several days, Jiang Luo was very happy, and he would laugh out loud from time to time during class. Tiansheng and Mangzhou felt that Jiang Luo had been possessed by a demon, and the two of them discussed in silence taking him to the nearest temple to pray for a safety charm. Luo, what's wrong with you these past few days? You haven't even entered the dormitory, and you run home every day after class. Chang, I've got something on at the moment, so I'll be going. You guys go ahead and eat. Jiang Luo came out with his books in a hurry to go home to his obedient daughter. Just as he got downstairs, he was stopped by Shenran. Jiang Luo, I haven't seen you for a few days. What have you been doing? You've been so busy? Will you go out to dinner with me tonight? Jiang Luo hesitated for a moment and said, Senior Shenran, I've got something on today. Maybe some other time. Jiang Luo, today is my birthday, I've specially invited you to go out with me, so please do me a favor, okay? Jiang Luo had no choice but to agree. Senior Shenran had helped him a lot and taken good care of him. After all, it was her birthday, so he might as well go. Okay. Shenran's face revealed a bright smile. I'll be back on the set in a few days, filming, and I may not see you again in the future. Ah, you're leaving? I'll be waiting for you at the company when you graduate from university. You can sign with us after you graduate, and I'll personally take you under my wing. Shenran tried to shake Jiang Luo's hand, but he avoided it. Have you broken up with your little girlfriend yet? Jiang Luo stammered, No, I'm still quite close to her, and I have no plans to break up. Sure enough, his phone started ringing. When will you be back? Your daughter is waiting for you to breastfeed her. He also sent a photo of his daughter. The baby is just over a week old, but already looks very pretty. She is reaching out with her little hands, trying to grab her father. Jiang Luo is simply melted, and really wants to rush home to nurse his daughter. Wen Ning, I have a friend whose birthday is today, and I'm going to her birthday dinner. I might be home late tonight, so you feed Nuanyuo first. Okay, come back early, and don't get too close to other girls, and don't let them touch your hands. Jiang Luo felt that Wen Ning had become even more gentle since she gave birth to the baby. I understand, I will hurry back to feed the baby. Wen Ning was wearing black pajamas and lying on her side, her curves were exquisite. Especially after giving birth, she had become even more voluptuous, her breasts were full and ready to burst. Next to her lay two little babies, not crying or making a fuss, their big eyes wide open as they played with themselves. The little one was still trying to eat her little hand. Numu, your father went to another woman's birthday party today. Wow! Numu opened her big mouth and continued to eat her hands, not knowing what her mother was saying. Numu, your father went to see another woman, and maybe even ran away with her. You won't have a father anymore. Ooh. Little Numu sniffed in distress, continued to eat her hands, and tears almost fell. At this time in the past, she should have seen her father long ago. How come you little guy can understand what I'm saying? You're so smart. When Ning poked the little sticky face. This little guy looks a lot like her, both so pretty. Xing Yun Building. Zhang Luo was not the only one attending Shenran's birthday party, there were also several seniors from the 4th year, as well as Shenran's suitors. After all, she is the school flower of the Imperial University, and she has countless admirers, but she happens to like Zhang Lu. Li Nanchuan laughed and said, Shenran, why did you call out to such a young junior? It looks like he's still in his freshman year. Shenran introduced, well, this is Zhang Lu, you should have heard of his name. Zhang Lu? I heard that he was newly voted as the school flower, but he's not that impressive. Li Nanchuan and the others looked at Zhang Lu with disdain in their eyes. How dare a freshman compete with them for a woman? Zhang Luo seemed to have noticed his hostility and said, Senior sister Shenran, I'll go first, you already have someone to keep you company. Zhang Luo, don't take them seriously, if you don't like them, I'll kick them out, I just want to spend my birthday with you. Shenran turned her head back and glared at Li Nanchuan, if you don't want to be here, just leave, no one is stopping you. It was Li Nanchuan who insisted on coming, she couldn't stop him. Li Nanchuan smiled and said, Ran, it was all a misunderstanding. We were just joking with the younger student. Is the younger student 18 years old this year? Zhang Luo looked up and said coldly, 19. Have you had any alcohol? Do you want to have a competition? No, I can't drink because I have to drive back. If you can't drink, how about a hand wrestling competition? After all, this younger student looks weak and feeble, and he could kill him with one hand. Chapter 68. His daughter is crying, he wants to go home. He doesn't dare, so never mind. After all, you are a junior, and I won't force you to do anything. Li Nanchan's face showed a sneering expression. Okay. Zhang Luo stood up and said, I'll compete with you. Are you sure? Yes. Zhang Luo answered with certainty. Shenran whispered to dissuade him, Zhang Luo, Li Nanchan is very strong, you'd better not compete with him. Zhang Luo pursed his lips, Shenran, it's okay, I also want to see how strong this Li Shuejuan is. If he doesn't fight back when someone has already hit him on the head, he would become a coward. After teaching someone a lesson, he is still waiting to go home to see his daughter. Li Nanchuan and Zhang Luo sat facing each other, their hands together on the table. Someone actually wants to arm wrestle our Nan? They don't know what they're getting themselves into. Zhang Luo looks so frail, I bet our Nan could beat him with one finger. Yeah, don't lose too badly. Li Nanchuan's brothers sneered at Zhang Luo, who didn't argue back, but held Li Nanchuan's wrist. With a start, the two exerted their strength at the same time. Li Nanchuan's wrist veins bulged, and he used all his strength to directly overwhelm Zhang Luo, but Zhang Luo's performance was very relaxed, and he did not lose to Li Nanchuan. Li Nanchuan exerted his strength again, and sweat seeped out of his face. Unfortunately, Zhang Luo was still very stable, and his arm did not even move. Li Nanchuan muttered to himself, how is this possible? He had already used his maximum strength, but Zhang Luo had not lost yet. What was wrong? Where did Zhang Luo get such strength? Zhang Luo raised his eyelids and said in a flat tone, Seniorly, is that all the strength you have? It's not even that impressive. Brother Nan, did you hold back? Hurry up and use your strength, don't hold back on Zhang Luo. Yes, Brother Nan, today is Shenran's birthday, don't let Shenran down. Drops of sweat fell from Li Nanchuan's forehead. He really wasn't holding back for Zhang Luo. He had used his maximum strength, but Zhang Luo's strength seemed to be greater than his. Senior Li, do you still have any strength left? Li Nanchuan looked up at Zhang Luo. What are you doing? If you don't have any strength left, it'll be my turn. Zhang Luo applied pressure with his left hand, and Li Nanchuan's arm was crushed. The latter hadn't reacted yet, his eyes wide in shock, unable to believe what he was seeing. How is this possible? How can you have such strength? Zhang Luo won? How is this possible, he looks so weak. Brother Nan lost? No way. Zhang Luo let go of his hand, maybe I was born with more strength. Senior Li, you lost. Li Nanchuan's face was so red that it could be seen all the way to the Pacific Ocean. He was actually picked on by a freshman? Then, he led his people away in disgrace from Shenran's birthday party. He had never been so humiliated, and he had done it in front of his goddess. Li Nanchuan clenched his fists and already held a grudge against Zhang Lu in his heart. Zhang Lu, you're amazing, what else can't you do? Jian Lu was embarrassed by the praise and touched the tip of his nose. Shenran, I also won by chance. I'm sorry, they came to your birthday, but I got rid of them. It's okay, I didn't want them to celebrate my birthday either. It was Li Nanchuan who insisted on coming. I just wanted you to celebrate my birthday with me. Shenran cut a piece of cake and handed it to Jian Luo, blinking her eyes. Her eyes were very beautiful, but Jian Luo had no time to admire them. Jian Luo, today is my birthday, have a piece of cake. Thank you, sister. Jian Luo ate a small piece of cake. He didn't have a gift for Shenran, so he gave her a small keychain he had brought with him. I didn't get you a gift either, Shenran. This keychain is a gift. I've had it for many years, he said. Shenran took the keychain and half kneeled on the sofa, gently stroking his cheek with her fingers. Thank you. I like all the gifts you've given me, she said. Jian Luo immediately backed away, embarrassed, and explained, Senior Shenran, I already have a girlfriend. Shenran leaned closer again and whispered in Jian Luo's ear, You're still going to lie to me now? You don't even have a girlfriend. Your girlfriend is just a front, isn't she? Jian Luo said sincerely, No, Senior Shenran, I'm telling the truth. I do have a girlfriend. I don't believe you. Unless you can bring your girlfriend to meet me, I won't believe you. Jian Luo, I'm going to work soon, and I can't see you every day. When will you agree to be my boyfriend? I've been chasing you for so long. Shenran's pretty face came close to Jian Luo's, with light makeup on that face, delicate features, and a bright and moving appearance. The red lips drew close again, and Jian Luo immediately turned his head. Shenran's nose tip lightly brushed past his face. He immediately took a few steps back, flustered, and said, Senior Shenran, I really have a girlfriend. Why don't you find someone else? There are so many guys who are more handsome than me. But I just like you. I liked you at first sight. I won't have another boyfriend. I'll wait for you. Shenran sat next to Jian Luo and fed him cake with her own hands. Jian Luo didn't eat it, anxious to go home to his baby daughter. Suddenly, a photo of the baby came on his phone. The baby was probably crying with her mouth wide open, tears in her eyes, and looking at Jian Luo made him feel another pang of pain. He couldn't wait to hug his daughter and comfort her, she was his precious treasure, his life's joy. Senior, I have to go back, I have something urgent to do, I really have to go back, I've already eaten the cake. Jian Luo stood up and rushed outside. Shenran stopped him, What's the hurry? There are still cake crumbs on your face. Shenran lifted her hand and personally wiped the cream from the corner of Jian Luo's mouth. Go, and be careful on the road. Okay. Jian Luo immediately left the hotel and drove all the way. The car stopped in the courtyard. Jian Luo couldn't wait to enter the living room. In the large baby bed lay a small baby, wrapped up tightly, only a cute little face was exposed, and the two little hands were still grasping outwards, finally reaching out. Wow! It's the sound of a little dolphin. Wen Ning is holding Nuoniu in her arms, wearing a loose-fitting purple pajama top. Her face is delicate and aloof, with a hint of tenderness. Jian Lu feels that Wen Ning has become even more gentle since giving birth, and more like the wife he has always imagined. Wen Ning looks up and says, You're back. Why did you come home so late? Nuoniu was looking for her father just now, crying and screaming. Look, there are still tears on the baby's face. Good Nuoniu, Daddy's home. Jian Luo took Nuoniu into his arms. The little one's eyes were brimming with tears. Seeing his father, she pouted and used her two little hands to grab his face. Wow! It's Daddy, Daddy's back. Nuoniu, give Daddy a smile. Jian Luo kissed his baby's soft little face. His precious daughter is really cute. Little Nuonia seemed to understand what her father said, and she really smiled at him. Chapter 69. After all, this is the first time Jian Luo has been a father, so he may have been a little overexcited. Wen Ning, look, the baby just smiled at me, she must like me as her father. Jian Luo sat down next to Wen Ning with his little daughter in his arms. Look how happily she is smiling. Wen Ning stroked the baby's little face. Nua likes her father, she is very happy to see him. In the future, you must come home early to spend time with your daughter. Yes, I know, I spend every day with Nua. Jian Luo kissed the soft little face of Nuonuo, with its small features and rosy complexion, which simply melted Jian Luo. Hugging his good daughter and kissing her again and again, he forgot all about his son. Wow! The little dolphin poked out its two little paws and squeaked. It was so afraid that its father couldn't hear it that it squeaked very loudly, and it also wanted a hug from its father. Omega. When Ning suddenly asked, Jiang Luo, where did you go today? Why do I smell a woman's fragrance on you? Jiang Luo was holding his daughter as he walked around the living room. I went to celebrate my sister's birthday. I came back after eating the cake. I didn't do anything. In fact, Jiang Luo felt a little guilty. He almost got a kiss from his sister-in-law Shan Ran on the face, but luckily he managed to dodge it. Otherwise, the female devil Wen Ning would go crazy again and he didn't know how she would torture him. For the sake of his daughter, he endured it. Really? Then why is the perfume on you so strong? She was very close to you, didn't she touch you too? Tell me, where did she touch you? Wen Ning's dark gaze fixed on Jiang Luo, making him shiver. No, she really didn't touch me. She just invited me to celebrate her birthday with her and gave me a piece of cake. Wen Ning narrowed her eyes and spoke coldly, really? Tell me the truth. Jiang Luo muttered, it was just when we were eating the cake that she wiped my mouth for me, nothing else. Wen Ning's face changed slightly, wipe your mouth? She wiped your mouth? Yes. Wen Ning waved Jiang Luo over, come here. Jiang Luo walked obediently over to Wen Ning and sat down, his eyes sincere. Wen Ning, I'm telling the truth, I'm not lying to you. Of course I believe you. Wen Ning cupped Jiang Luo's face and kissed the corner of his lips. You must protect yourself outside, and you must not let others take advantage of you. I know, Senior Shinran is just concerned about me, I already told her that I have a girlfriend. Jiang Luo muttered. Wen Ning's attitude was very overbearing. That's not allowed either. In the future, you are not allowed to be alone with other female classmates, they might have evil intentions towards you. Okay, I know. Jiang Luo nodded perfunctorily and continued to tease his little daughter in his arms. Nua Nua, smile for daddy. Hurry up, Nua Nua. Jiang Luo poked the baby's little face with his long fingers, and the little one really smiled, wow. Ah. The little dolphin also called out, looking for a long time but unable to find where daddy was, crying and crying. Jiang Luo, you go and see your son, he'll cry in a moment. Jiang Lu reluctantly put down his little son and picked up his little dolphin. The little guy was much stronger than his sister, with a round face and two little hands that pawed at his father's clothes. Wow! The little dolphin smiled at his father. Jiang Lu had just held him for 2 minutes when he said seriously to the little dolphin, you are the older brother, so you have to be good and not make a fuss. Daddy has to go hold his little sister. The little dolphin looked at his father with his big eyes, and then he was put down again. He pawed at his father with his two little paws. Jiang Luo then went to hug Nuonuo. Recently, the books I have read are all about parenting manuals, and the correct way to hold a baby is to hold its little head with one hand. Nuonuo, I am your father. Wow! Father! Jiang Luo personally prepared the baby bottle for little Nuonuo and fed him. The little one must have been really hungry, because she drank from the bottle while being held, and then threw up after she had finished. Jiang Luo wiped the baby's mouth again. Now that Nuonuo has had enough, Dad will feed her brother. Jiang Luo took the other little bottle and fed the little dolphin. The little dolphin drank more than Nuonuo and wouldn't let go of the little bottle. Little Nuonuo was lulled to sleep. Her eyes were closed, and her eyelashes were long. Jiang Lu couldn't help but kiss her daughter's little face. When Ning shook her head helplessly, Jiang Lu, you like Nuonuo so much, what about little dolphin? Don't you like it? I like it, they are both my babies, how could I not like them? Jiang Lu lay on the crib and looked back and forth, loving both babies, they were his treasures. Jiang Lu, stop looking, dinner is ready. When Ning called out, but Jiang Luo didn't hear her at all, so engrossed was he in his daughter's cute little face that he poked her finger gently. So cute. When Ning added, Jiang Luo, dinner's ready. Every time you get home from school, you just keep looking at Mozi and forget to eat. You eat first, I'll eat in a bit. Jiang Luo stroked his baby's soft little paws, which were so cute and pink and tight, and he gave them a kiss. Nuoniu, Daddy is going to eat. As a result, Jiang Luo went to see his daughter again after eating. Wen Ning helplessly put her hand on her forehead. When Wan asked, Sister, is Jiang Luo obsessed? He watches Nuonio every day. He's probably just too happy, and he'll recover in a few days. After all, this is the first time he's been a father, and Jiang Luo might be a little overexcited, which she can understand. The next day. Theory class. John Luo arrived at the classroom early in the morning, with 2 parenting manuals in his arms. Tian Chang nudged Jian Lu with his elbow and asked in a low voice, "Luo, why are you carrying parenting manuals? Are you preparing for your own child in advance?" Jian Lu stammered and replied, "I just want to take a look. I've been quite fond of children lately." Fond of children? You're still too young to have children. Wait a few years. Tian Chang shrugged his shoulders. I don't plan to have children. I'll have them when I have the money, and not when I don't. Jiang Luo continued reading. He had already memorized all the theoretical lessons taught by the teacher the previous year. After class, Jiang Luo went to eat with his book in hand when Zhang Yi suddenly blocked his way. "Jiang Luo, can I eat with you?" Jiang Luo casually said, "Sure." Tian Chang and Meng Zhou exchanged glances. Their son's luck was back. Every day, his luck just kept on coming. Jiang Luo simply ordered a meal and read while eating. Zhang Yi glanced at the book in Jiang Luo's hand and was shocked to see that it was a parenting manual. "Jiang Luo, do you like children?" "Well, yes." Jiang Luo answered decisively. His baby is so cute, how could he not like it? He can't wait to spend every day with his baby, but he still has to go to class. After graduating from university, he can spend every day with his baby. Jiang Luo picked up his phone, and the photo on the lock screen was of the cute little baby. Zhang Yi exclaimed in surprise, "Jiang Luo, who is this? What a cute baby." Chapter 70 Jiang Luo gave it to me and I liked it right away. Jiang Luo made up an excuse and said it was the child of a cousin from a distant relative's family. "I see, what a cute baby, I like it too." Tian Chang was drying the rice and his curiosity was piqued. "Luo, what baby? Show it to me quickly." Jiang Luo hadn't answered yet when Tian Chang snatched the phone from him. "Oh my! This baby is so cute, it's too beautiful. It looks like it's not even a month old, it's so small." Tian Chang, a grown man, almost melted. Indeed, babies are the most adorable. "Mengge, come look at the little cutie." Meng Zhou looked at it for 2 whole minutes, then glanced at Jiang Lu again. "Why do I feel like this baby looks a bit familiar, a bit like Luo?" "Ah! It looks like Luo." Tian Chang took another good look, slapped his forehead, and said, "Yes, this baby really looks a lot like Luo, especially those eyes." "Luo, is this your distant relative's daughter? Anyone who doesn't know would think it's your daughter." Jiang Luo liked what he heard, and a smile unconsciously curved the corners of her mouth. Zhang Yi immediately spoke up, "Tian Chang, don't talk nonsense, Jiang Luo hasn't even had her 20th birthday yet, so how could she have a baby?" "Zhang Yi is right, I was thinking too much, it's probably just a bit like it." Tian Chang buried his head and continued eating. After a while, Tian Chang looked up again and said, "Luo, a company is coming to our school to select trainees. I heard it's some kind of talent show, you can go and have a look, you're so handsome, you'll have countless female fans just by putting your face out there." Jiang Luo asked, "Talent show, does being selected mean you'll get rich?" "Of course you'll get rich, if you get selected, you might just become a star and be very rich in the future." "Okay, I'll go watch it when I have time." Jiang Luo now just wants to make money quickly to support his daughter. If he raises his daughter to be plump and rosy, in another year, Nwozi will call him dad. Just thinking about it makes Jiang Luo feel good. He has renewed his drive to make money to support his daughter and his son. Just as he arrives downstairs in the dormitory, Jiang Luo is blocked by Jiang Huai. "Jiang Luo, I need to talk to you about something." "Jiang Huai, what do you want with Jiang Luo?" Everyone in the class knew that Jiang Luo and Jiang Huai didn't get along. Jiang Huai said coldly, "Tian Chang, don't mind your own business. I need to talk to him, so you guys go on up first." Jiang Luo patted Tian Chang on the shoulder and said, "You guys go on up first. Okay, don't let him bully you. If anything happens, just call us." Jiang Luo nodded and said, "Don't worry, it won't happen. I still have a lot of strength." "You, forget it. You look too skinny." Tian Chang went up with Meng Zhou. Zhang Yi excitedly said, "Jiang Huai, I finally get to see you. Do you remember me? I'm Zhang Yi, your childhood playmate." Jiang Huai glanced at Zhang Yi indifferently and remembered. Zhang Yi suppressed the excitement in her eyes. "I thought you didn't remember me. You never came back after you moved away." Jiang Huai didn't bother with Zhang Yi and looked at Jiang Luo and said, "My mom said to come home." She'll cook tonight herself and wait for you to come back. Dad also said he misses you. John Luo rejected him calmly. Sorry, I'm not free today. John Luo, don't be ungrateful, my mother has said so. You were raised by her, and now you don't even recognize her as your mother. John Luo calmly explained, she is your mother, not mine. When I was little, she told me not to call her mother. John Luo, you are really ungrateful. My mother has finally raised you, and now you don't even recognize her, and you don't even want to go home. Zhang Hui grabbed Jiang Lu by the collar and said with clenched teeth, I'll ask you one last time, are you coming back or not? Jiang Lu pushed Zhang Hui away and calmly fixed his collar. No, I'm not coming back. You guys never wanted me to come back before, so why would you want me to come back now? Do you have some other ulterior motives? I haven't seen you for so long, I've missed you, unlike you ungrateful brat. You must come back with me tonight. Jiang Lu nodded and agreed, okay, I'll go back with you. Jiang Luo, you still have some conscience. I'll go first. Zhang Hui turned around and was about to leave when Zhang Yi stopped him. Zhang Hui, can I go? I haven't seen Uncle and Auntie Jiang for a long time either, I miss them too. Zhang Hui gave a contemptuous smile and said no. Zhang Yi stood there in a daze, not coming back to her senses for a long time. Finally, she walked over to Jiang Luo and asked in a low voice, Jiang Luo, are you going to be picked up by Uncle Jiang and the others and taken home? Jiang Luo, however, asked in return, Zhang Yi, do you want me to go back? Zhang Yi looked up, of course I do. After you go back, you'll be the eldest son of the Jiang family, Jiang Luo. Don't forget me. Jiang Luo didn't say anything. When they went upstairs, the dormitory manager gave him a lot of food. Tian Cheng exclaimed, that's not fair. Jiang Luo, why is the manager so nice to you and treats us so coldly? Jiang Lu looked innocent. I don't know why, but the auntie likes to give me food. You can all eat it together. These should be salted duck eggs that the auntie made herself. Bring 2 back for Wen Ning. She's never had them before. Jiang Lu took the 2 biggest, whitest ones and put them in his pocket. Jiang Lu, who did you say you were bringing them back for? No one. You guys can eat them slowly. I'm bringing 2 back for my girlfriend. I don't know if Wen Ning likes the salted duck eggs that the auntie made herself, so I'll go back and try them first. Maybe she likes them. She hasn't had much of an appetite lately and she's lost weight. 4 p.m. After class, John Lu got on the bus with 2 large salted duck eggs in his pocket. Suddenly, a sports car blocked his path, and the window slowly rolled down to reveal Jiang Jie's face. Jiang Lu, you're not going back on your word, are you? No, I'll go home first. Jiang Lu felt the duck eggs in his pocket. He had to go home first to give his wife the salted duck eggs. Okay, I'll be waiting for you at home. Don't be a man of your word and not show up. Jiang Jia left a sentence and drove away. Manor. Living room. Wen Ning is working on the computer. A long black velvet dress with a high slit reveals her fair, slender legs, which are covered by black slippers, giving her a somewhat carefree appearance. Wen Ning, your body hasn't recovered yet, how can you start working again? Jiang Luo sat down next to Wen Ning and said worriedly. It's fine, I just had a baby, my body has almost recovered and I can work again. Wen Ning, I can see that you haven't had much of an appetite lately, these are salted duck eggs that I brought you, they were cooked by my aunt herself and are the freshest. Jiang Luo took out 2 salted duck eggs from her pocket and handed them to Wen Ning like they were precious. Wen Ning was surprised and asked, did you bring these especially for me? Jiang Luo nodded and said, try them and see what you think. Jiang Luo, my sister doesn't even like seafood, so why would she eat your salted duck eggs? She doesn't like them. Before Wen Wan could finish speaking, Wen Ning had already taken the salted duck eggs from Jiang Luo's hands. I like them. How did you know I like them? When Wan drew in her lips, her sister clearly didn't like salted duck eggs. Chapter 71-71 He is a competent young father. Jiang Luo peeled the duck egg and handed it to Wen Ning like a treasure. Wen Ning ate 2 in a row and finished them all. It tastes good, I like it. Jiang Luo pursed her lips, I'm glad you like it, I'll bring you some next time. Wen Ning likes salted duck eggs so much, I'll buy some for her next time. Grandma also makes salted duck eggs, I'll bring her some when I have time. What do you want for dinner? Shall I have the kitchen prepare it? Is it the same as before? Wen Ning propped her chin up with one hand and winked at Jiang Luo. Wen Ning, I'm not eating at home tonight. After saying that, Wen Ning suddenly pinched Jiang Luo's chin. Her dark eyes flashed with a cold light. If you're not eating at home, where are you going? Are you going on a date with another woman? Jiang Luo was scared and backed up slightly. Wen Ning, don't get me wrong, I'm going home. Jiang Jie looked for me today. In fact, I lied to you. I'm the adopted son of the Jiang family. 8 years ago, Uncle Jiang's business took off, so he moved to the center of the imperial capital. At that time, when he moved his household registration, he didn't move my name. Because of me, my grandmother didn't come to the imperial capital either, and she stayed in the countryside to raise me. Wen Ning looked down her nose. Jiang family? Which Jiang family? Jiang Luo whispered, Jiang Group, Anzhou Old Cellar. Wen Ning let go of Jiang Luo's chin and whispered, Anzhou Old Cellar? I have heard of it. It is one of the top 10 wine cellar companies in the country. Well, Uncle Jiang used to like to drink, and he started a small company with a few of his friends. It is now one of the top 10 wine tasting companies. Although it is not as good as the top 3, it is pretty good. Wen Ning actually knew about this a long time ago. The first day she met Jiang Luo, she investigated him thoroughly. So that's it. You're going back to the Jiang family today. Why do you still have to go back? They abandoned you back then. Wen Ning embraced Jiang Luo's arm, her eyes with a morbid radiance. You're mine now, I'll never abandon you, Jiang Luo, you have to be by my side forever. Jiang Luo lowered his eyes. In the past, although Uncle Jiang treated me badly, he still gave me a job to do. Wen Ning, I still have to go tonight. Wen Ning hesitated for a moment and said, okay, come back early tonight, Nuoniu is waiting for you. Wow. The two babies in the crib are getting restless again, sticking out their little paws and grabbing at random. Is the baby awake? Jiang Luo walked over and picked up the little Nuoniu. The little one was full of energy, her big dark eyes looking at her father, and her little hands grabbing at his face again. Wow. Wen Ning is lounging on the sofa, and Nuoniu wakes up at the sound of her father's voice. She is the one who is most attached to you, and she will always be a little clingy. You have to take your daughter with you wherever you go. Our Nuonio baby is a little clingy, isn't she hungry? Daddy will give you a bottle, okay? Wow. The little girl opens her mouth wide and cries, looking really hungry. Jiang Luo puts the little one in bed and personally goes to prepare the baby's bottle. 2 minutes later, the little girl's bottle is ready. Wow. The little one extends her small hands, as if she can see her own little bottle, and scrambles with both hands. Jiang Luo just puts the bottle in the little girl's mouth, and the baby can't wait to start sucking, grabbing the bottle with both hands. Nuonio, drink slowly, no one is fighting you for it, it's all yours. Jiang Lu patiently fed the baby. The little dolphin turned around and saw his sister drinking from the bottle. She pouted, her big eyes looking at her father. Ah. The little dolphin also wants to drink from the bottle. Can daddy feed you after he's finished with your sister? Jiang Lu poked the little dolphin's little face and said, you're the big brother, be good. The little dolphin pouted pitifully, eating his little hands. Wen Ning quietly watched Jiang Luo feed his daughter. Sure enough, having a child can trap Jiang Luo. With Nuoniu and the little dolphin, she is not afraid of Jiang Luo running away. Wen Ning raised the corners of her lips, with a hint of smugness in her eyes. Jiang Luo felt a gloomy gaze fall on him, and when he turned his head, he happened to meet Wen Ning's morbid gaze. Jiang Luo, where did you learn to make formula milk? You're quite skilled at it. You're quite the competent young father. Jiang Luo whispered, I learned it on my own, and I asked the postpartum maid about the temperature and concentration, and it's suitable for the baby. Wen Ning nodded, oh, you went out of your way to learn from the postpartum maid about making formula milk. You like the baby so much, why don't we have a few more? Jiang Luo looked up in shock. Ah, no more babies, that's enough. Don't you like babies? I do like babies, but 2 are enough, no more. The 2 are already busy enough. Jiang Luo finished feeding Nuonuo and then changed the bottle to feed Xiaohai. The poor little dolphin finally got to drink from its grandmother's breast. Its little mouth moved up and down, looking hungry. The little dolphin drank a lot, almost half a bottle. Jiang Luo poured out the remaining milk, then cleaned the bottle and put it in the sterilizer. The nanny next to him was full of praise. I used to think this father was too young and wouldn't be able to take care of the baby, but in fact he is more attentive than many people. This father, despite his young age, knows how to take care of the baby. This is the youngest father I've ever seen, still in college, and he's handsome too. Who's to say he isn't? Not having more than one is a waste of such good genes. He's tall and handsome. John Luo was embarrassed by all the praise. After all, this was his first time being a father, and he had learned a lot. Wow! Nuonuo held out her little hand and started looking for her father again. She was wearing a fluffy little outfit and a little hat on her head, and she was just adorable. Nuonuo, Daddy has to go out for a little while tonight, so you have to be good and not make Mommy cry or cry. The little one was babbling in his mouth, and I didn't know what he was saying. His two little hands poked out from under his little cape. Wow! You don't want Daddy to go? Daddy will only be gone for a little while, and then he'll come right back to keep you company, okay? John Luo kissed the little pink face of his son, and the little guy placed one of his hands on his father's face. Omega asterisk. Good boy, Daddy will come back in a little while to hug you. John Luo placed his son in the crib and glanced at him. The little guy was being good, not crying or making a fuss. It's true, this son is quite obedient, not bad. John Lu bent down and touched the little dolphin's little face. Daddy is going out for a while, you have to watch your sister. Wow! The little guy's voice was loud and clear as he spoke to his father, and he looked bigger than his sister. Chapter 72-72 The female devil bullies him, but is also kind to him. When Ning laughed softly. John Luo, the little dolphin is still less than a month old. How can you let him watch his sister? The little dolphin is the older brother. He will have to protect his sister in the future. I need to teach him well now. Okay, take your time. Maybe the little dolphin will be like you and be a little genius. John Luo pursed his lips. Really? Of course. You can tutor your baby yourself in the future, you won't need to hire a tutor. John Luo nodded. When Ning, I'll go first, you can eat in a bit, don't wait up for me, I'll be a bit late. Okay, take care. I know. After leaving the living room, John Luo drove himself to the Zhang family villa. When he was in high school, he had been there once, but he had been thrown out. Jincheng District. Rich People's District. Zhang Villa. Jian Mu had already had the kitchen prepare the meal. She had forgotten what Jian Lu liked to eat, and had prepared all kinds of expensive dishes. Xiaohui, why hasn't Jiang Lu arrived yet? He's not going to cancel on us, is he? You told him that you would be back for dinner tonight. Mom, I told him and he promised me that he would come, he might just be a little late, so just wait. What do you want with him? Do you want to recognize him again? I don't agree, I'm the only young master in the Zhang family. Jian Hui sat on the sofa playing games, frowning impatiently. Zhang's mother gave a contemptuous smile. How could we possibly recognize him back? He's not our biological child. You're the only young master in the Zhang family. Don't worry, we call Jian Luo here, but of course it's for other reasons. Jian Hui casually said, Jian Luo must have recently climbed onto some high branch, driving a BMW and eating well. Maybe he's being supported by some old woman. You have to persuade him. BMW? Jian Lu grew up in the countryside and couldn't even pay for his living expenses, let alone drive a BMW. Well, I saw it with my own eyes. He should be driving a BMW today, too. If you don't believe me, go take a look. As soon as Jiang He finished speaking, there was a honking sound outside, and Jiang's mother immediately came out. Sure enough, it was a BMW, the latest model, which should cost about 500,000 yuan by visual estimation. Jiang Lu got out of the car and greeted them politely, Uncle Jiang, Aunt Jiang. Jiang Luo's mother was surprised and said, Jiang Luo, how come you have the money to drive a BMW? Did you rent it? Well, it belongs to a classmate of mine, and it's more convenient for me to drive it than a scooter. I see. Jiang Luo's mother's face showed a smile, but it didn't reach her eyes as she warmly greeted Jiang Luo. Jiang Luo, Uncle Jiang and Auntie Jiang miss you. It's been so long, almost a year, and we last saw each other in the hospital. Come in, I've prepared your favorite dish for you today. Jiang Luo entered the living room. The Jiang residence was a large villa, and the living room was also very large, but it was not as large as this warm and solid manor by a long shot, and Jiang Luo was a little uncomfortable. He was already used to living in a large manor. Luo, this is Uncle's villa. Haven't you been here before? Isn't it very big? Why don't you live here from now on? You've never lived in such a big house, have you? Jiang Hui sneered. How could Jiang Luo have lived in a villa like this? He lived in a small country cottage at home. Jiang Luo nodded. Yes, it is quite big. Jiang Hui snorted. You obviously don't know anything. This villa of ours is one of the largest in the rich district. Apart from the northern suburbs rich district, it's our Jinchang rich district. Jiang Luo asked in confusion. Northern suburbs? Isn't he living in the northern suburbs? The northern suburbs are home to the top families in the entire imperial capital. That's where the real top families are. Never mind, you wouldn't know if I told you. Jiang Hui buried his head and continued playing games. Luo, you haven't eaten yet, have you? Eat properly tonight, I made all this myself. Jiang Luo's mother handed him the bowl and chopsticks enthusiastically. Thank you, Auntie Jiang. Jiang Luo took a bite of the food. Compared to the food at home, it was really poor, barely edible. Jiang Jie finished playing a game and sat down next to Jiang Luo. Jiang Mu quickly served him a bowl of rice and said, eat more. Jiang Jie looked up and said to Jiang Luo, you've never had such delicious food before, right? This is deer antler. Eat more. If you finish it today, you won't have it tomorrow. Jiang Luo didn't argue and just quietly watched Jiang Jie act like a show-off. He didn't believe that Jiang's parents had asked him here just so he could have a meal. That was obviously impossible. After a while, Jiang's father casually said, Luo, you don't have a girlfriend at school, do you? I'd like to introduce you to a girlfriend. She's the eldest Misku, very pretty, just a few years older than you. Jiang Luo stopped eating with his chopsticks. Sure enough. Uncle Jiang, thank you for your kindness, but I'm afraid I can't do that. I already have a girlfriend. Jiang's father frowned. You already have a girlfriend? Who is she? Could it be that girl Zhang Yi? Zhang Yi is just a country girl, how can she compare to the Gu family's eldest daughter? I hope you'll think about it seriously. Jiang Luo said, it's not Zhang Yi. Jiang's father's brow furrowed even deeper, and he continued, if it's not Zhang Yi, then who is it? Could it be someone from your school? Talking about relationships at school is unreliable, so it's best to let your uncle introduce you to someone. Uncle Jiang, she's not from our school. She's already working, and she's a few years older than me. John's father seemed to be talking to himself, a few years older than you, and you're going to talk to her yourself? How can you talk to someone who's older than you? Jiang laughed. Dad, you wouldn't know, but Jiang Luo was being supported by someone else. Maybe the person supporting him is a rich woman, and she's an old woman, in her 50s. Jiang's father froze for a moment, and then looked at Jiang Luo. Is what he said true? Jiang Luo explained seriously, no, my girlfriend is a few years older than me. She doesn't support me. I earn my own living expenses. Jiang Luo, don't pretend anymore. You are supported by an old woman. My father has found a good marriage for you now, so just agree quickly. Jiang Hui smiled, half smiling. The eldest daughter of the family is beautiful, has a good figure, and is also very rich, except that she is a bit fat. Not just an average fat, she is very fat. In bed, she might as well crush Jiang Luo to death. Jiang Hui almost laughed out loud. Based on Jiang Hui's reaction, Jiang Luo knew that this was not a good marriage and refused directly. Uncle Jiang, thank you for your kindness, but I really have a girlfriend. My girlfriend and I have a very good relationship, so I can't agree to this. If the female demon head Wen Ning knew about this, I don't know how she would torture him. But Wen Ning is not that bad. Apart from bullying him, she doesn't do anything else bad. The female devil even takes care of him, buys him clothes, and cares about him. She is much better than these people in the Jiang family. Wen Ning is beautiful and has a good figure. If she could just be a little gentler, she would be the wife of his dreams. Chapter 73-73 introduced a 200-pound fat man to him. Xiao Luo, be honest with your uncle, are you being supported? If you really don't have any money, you can borrow from your uncle. Jiang Luo whispered his refusal. Thank you, Uncle Jiang, for your kindness, but my girlfriend and I are very close and have no plans to break up. We will get married in the future. Jiang's father sighed and continued, Luo, you're still young and don't know what marriage requires. Marrying is expensive. The Gu family only has one daughter, Gu Xinya, and if you marry their daughter, you can inherit their company and the entire Gu group will be yours. Uncle Jiang is only looking out for your best interests, Luo. Think about it carefully. Do you want to live a hard life with your girlfriend, or marry the Gu family's daughter and become the son-in-law of the Gu group? Zhang Luo looked up and argued, Uncle Jiang, I'm not going to suffer. My girlfriend will make a lot of delicious food for me every day in the kitchen. She also buys me clothes, takes care of me, and even drives me to school. Jiang Huai heard this and became a little jealous. He frowned and asked, Your girlfriend is really that good? You're not lying to me, are you? How could there be such a good girlfriend in the world? His girlfriend would just spend his money and let him do everything. Not to mention buying her clothes, she doesn't even own any. He buys everything for his girlfriend. Zhang Luo said seriously, I'm telling you the truth, Uncle Jiang, don't worry about me, my girlfriend is really nice. Zhang Luo's father smiled without any joy in his heart, took out his phone and said, Okay, then add the WeChat of that Miss Gu family first, chat with her when you have time, I already promised her, you can't let me go back on my word. Zhang Luo hesitated for a moment, took out his phone and added Gu Xinya's WeChat. Zhang Luo, when you have time, talk more to that Miss Gu. Maybe you two will get along, and she is very pretty, except for one thing, she is a bit overweight. Zhang Luo nodded perfunctorily. So what if she is a bit overweight? It's not his business anyway. He has already added her on WeChat, what more does he have to do? Little Luo is really sensible. Do you want to live in the dorm? If you don't want to live in the dorm, you can live at my place. My place is very close to the school, just a 20-minute drive. As John's father finished speaking, John's mother secretly pinched his thigh. Thank you, Uncle Jiang, for your kindness, but I have a place to stay. I'm staying at my girlfriend's place, so you don't have to worry about me. Zhang Luo replied politely. John's father nodded and continued eating, afraid to speak. You're eating so early today. A familiar voice rang out. The young girl looked no more than 20 years old, wearing a sky blue dress with a sweet smile. Second sister, you're back, let's eat. Jiang Li was originally beaming with joy at the sight of her younger brother Jiang Huai, but the moment she saw Jiang Luo, the smile on her face instantly disappeared. Jiang Luo, why are you here? What are you doing in my house? Do you want money? Jiang Luo whispered an explanation. No, it was uncle who told me to come. Jiang Li coldly raised the corners of her lips. Jiang Luo, are you lying again? You liked to lie when you were little and you liked to bully Huai. I never did, and I never bullied Jiang Huai either. Jiang Luo's explanation was not heard by anyone. Jiang Li said haughtily, No? You pushed Xiao Huai over before, and his nose was swollen from the fall. Do you think we are all blind? Jiang Luo didn't bother to explain so much about those old events. In fact, Jiang Huai fell over by himself, and he was afraid of being scolded by his parents, so he pushed the blame onto him. He had explained it before, but no one believed him. Everyone in the Jiang family thought he was lying, and no one thought that Jiang Huai was lying. Jiang's father whispered, Xiao Li, don't say anymore. That was a long time ago. Now Xiao Lu has changed for the better. Humph, Jiang Lu was just pretending. You really believed it. Jiang Li picked up her chopsticks and ate, occasionally giving Jiang Lu a cold stare. This is such delicious food. You've never had it before, right? Eat more, because it'll be gone tomorrow. Thank you, Miss Jiang Er. Jiang Li raised her eyebrows. She didn't even call me second sister? Jiang Luo looked up. Didn't you used to say that I wasn't allowed to call you second sister? Oh, I forgot. But Jiang Luo would never forget. On Jiang Li's 12th birthday, he was only 8 or 9 years old at the time, and he made a little wooden boat with his own hands. He happily gave it to his second sister, but unfortunately she didn't even look at it and threw it directly onto the ground, or it broke in half. However, she took a simple little glass bead that Jiang Jia had given her and treasured it very much. Jiang Luo, the boat you made is really ugly. I'm not your second sister, so don't call me that anymore. I'm Jiang Huai's second sister, and I don't have a brother like you. Jiang Luo squatted down and carefully picked up the boat. Unfortunately, the wooden boat had been smashed and could never be repaired. Huai, eat more. Aren't you going to participate in the global math competition? How's your preparation going? It's okay. Jiang Huai said perfunctorily. He was just saying that, he hadn't even registered yet. Jiang Luo came second in the global mathematics competition in the second half of last year. He is the world's youngest runner-up, only 18 years old. So, he also wants to participate. Xiao Wai, you have been tired lately, you must replenish your body. Eat more. Jiang Huai was surrounded by people. Jiang Luo knew that no one here liked him, so he stood up and said, Uncle Jiang, thank you for your hospitality, I'll go first. Go? Why do you suddenly want to go? Are you full? Jiang Lu said politely, I've already finished eating, Uncle Jiang, you guys enjoy your meal. Jiang Lu, I've told you about that matter, you need to think carefully about it, this is a matter for life, if you choose wrongly, it will be difficult in the future. Uncle Jiang also wants to help you, you inherited the Gu group, if you don't understand anything in the future, you can still ask Uncle Jiang. Jiang Lu nodded and turned around to leave the living room. Jiang Li asked casually, Dad, what did you tell Jiang Luo? Of course I told him to marry that Gu family's daughter. Jiang Li laughed, and the rice in her mouth almost flew out. Dad, Gu Xinya is almost 200 pounds, she can directly crush Jiang Luo to death. John's father drew the corners of his mouth, almost 200 pounds, got fatter? Yes, the last time I saw her, she was still talking about losing weight. She was originally 190 pounds, but she lost weight and now weighs 200 pounds. Jiang Huai laughed out loud, Dad, if Jiang Lu marries Gu Xinya, he might be crushed to death. But Gu Xinya is rich, will Jiang Lu agree? Jiang Li nodded, I think Jiang Lu will probably agree. Jiang Lu is calculating, and this is a good opportunity for him to rise in the world. Chapter 74 His daughter must be a little school bully. Jiang Luo just came out and received a message on his phone. Gu Xinya, hi. Jiang Luo politely replied. Jiang Luo opened the car door, got in, fastened his seatbelt, and was ready to go. Suddenly, he received another message. Jiang Luo thought it was from Gu Xinya, but when he clicked to open it, it was a photo of his little daughter. Jiang Luo, why haven't you come back yet? You've been gone for over an hour. Nu is looking for her daddy and has been crying. Look at her tears. Jiang Lu looked for a long time but couldn't find any tears. Nu was eating her hands with her big, dark eyes wide open. So cute. I'm on my way. I'll be home in 20 minutes. Jiang Lu couldn't wait to go home and hug his daughter. He stepped on the accelerator to speed up. When Ning poked the baby's little face and said, Daddy will be home soon. Be a good girl, okay? Wow. The little one cried again. Wei Ning held the baby and cooed, Be good, Daddy will be home soon. Wow. The little one couldn't see Daddy and cried again. The little one looks cute and cuddly, but she has the worst temper and is much harder to calm down than a baby dolphin. Wow. Wei Ning patted the baby gently, Don't cry, baby, don't cry. Daddy will be home soon. Be good. Jiang Luo just got home and saw his daughter crying, so he quickly picked her up and gently soothed her, carrying her back and forth in the living room. Nuonio, Daddy's home, don't cry, good girl, don't cry. The little one heard the familiar voice and stopped crying in no time, her two little hands reaching out to grab her father. Wah wah. Nuonia happily opened her little mouth and smiled at her father. She didn't have any teeth in her mouth, looking stupid and cute. Jiang Luo kissed the baby's pink and tender little face. Did Nuozi hear his voice? Daddy's back. The little milkball cried happily, and his two little hands were restless, grasping at his father's clothes. Jiang Luo looked at the little dolphin with some unease. The little guy was lying on his own in the bed, watching with wide eyes, nibbling on his little hands on the ceiling. He was much easier to soothe than his sister. Have you eaten dinner yet? I have. When Ning asked again, what did they want with you? Jiang Luo felt guilty, it was a trivial matter. When Ning's eyes darkened slightly. A trivial matter? Well, it really was a trivial matter. Have you eaten? I have. I'd like to hear about this trivial matter. Jiang Luo, come here. When Ning wagged her finger, and Jiang Luo obediently sat down next to her. Can you tell me now? Jiang Luo answered honestly, it really wasn't anything. It was just that Uncle Jiang introduced me to someone, and I said that I already had a girlfriend, so it was unnecessary. When Ning narrowed her eyes. Introduce someone? Jiang Luo shuddered. Well, she was a rich girl, I don't know exactly, I didn't agree. I said I had a girlfriend, so I came home early. When Ning's cold face suddenly became gentle, and her white, jade-like fingers gently stroked Jiang Luo's face. So obedient? Well, I already have you, and Nuoniu and Little Dolphin. When Ning leaned against Jiang Luo's chest, one arm hooked around his neck. When you graduate, we'll go get married. Jiang Luo nodded perfunctorily. Who knows if Wen Ning will tire of him in a few years. If she does, she can just kick him out, and he'll live with his daughter and son. Wen Ning suddenly kissed Jiang Luo's lips, whispering, "You promised me, you can't go back on your word, otherwise, the consequences could be serious." "I know, I won't go back on my word." Wen Ning knelt on the sofa, embraced Jiang Luo's face and kissed her gently, her hand resting on Jiang Luo's lower abdomen, slowly moving downward. "It's been almost a year, you've grown again." Jiang Luo's face flushed and her heart pounded. She hung her head shyly. "Wen Ning, Nuonia was still here, don't make trouble." "Your daughter can't see what I'm doing, what are you afraid of?" "She's still young, I heard that babies don't remember anything before the age of 3. Wen Ning leaned closer again and kissed Jiang Luo's earlobe. "It's been almost a year, but she's still so shy." Her little husband is indeed still a pure young man. Little Nuonual looked at her parents kissing with wide eyes, happily cooing and making two small hands go to touch her father's face. Jiang Luo's ears were tinged red from Wen Ning's teasing, and she hugged Nuonual and stood up. "Wen Ning, I need to put Nuonual to bed, and you should go to bed early too." "It's still early, Nuonual is being nursed by a maid, you need to stay with me." "Ever since we had our daughter, you haven't spent any time with me." Wei Ning took Jiang Luo's hand, her eyes were full of charm, her meaning was simply too obvious. Jiang Luo turned his head and said, "No, you just gave birth to the baby, you can't wait another month." "1 month, that's too long, Jiang Luo." Wei Ning hugged Jiang Luo's waist, rubbed against him lightly, put Nuonuo down, and went upstairs with me. Jiang Luo dissuaded her, saying, "Your body hasn't recovered yet. Can you wait for just 1 week?" "Just 1 week." "Okay, you said it. If you don't give it to me, I'll just take it myself." After saying that, he pinched her hand again. "It's okay to scratch that itch." Jiang Luo took Wen Ning's hand away, saying, "Stop messing around. I still have to put my daughter to bed. There's also the global mathematics competition coming up soon. I came in second last time, but this time I'm determined to come in first." "Okay, then go study, and I'll take care of the baby." Wen Ning just took over the little boy, and the little guy opened his mouth wide and cried, waving his little hands around trying to find his father. "Whoa! Ah! Where's Daddy? I want Daddy." Jiang Lu quickly took the baby in his arms and said, "Daddy's here, baby." Wen Ning poked the baby's little face and said, "You only want Daddy now, not Mommy. Do you like Daddy and not Mommy?" Jiang Luo explained, "Maybe Nuonia recognizes my voice, I used to give her daily prenatal education." Wen Ning picked up the little dolphin on the bed. The little dolphin is not picky, it doesn't cry when anyone picks it up, it is sensible and cute. When it is hungry, it eats its own hands, when it is sleepy, it sleeps, occasionally it will cry a little. The little dolphin is so good, it never cries. Wow! The little dolphin smiled at its mother, its two little hands grasping at its mother's clothes. Wen Ning kissed the baby's little face. It really is true that baby dolphins love their mothers the most. "Baby dolphin, do you love your mother the most?" The baby dolphin was happy to be held by her mother and cried, "Ooh-ah." The two of them held each other, Wen Ning holding the baby while continuing to look at the data on the computer, while Jiang Luo went to look at the explanation questions. "Little Nuanual, in the future, will Daddy teach you math problems, okay?" "Wow!" Little Nuanual opened her mouth wide and spoke to her father. Nuanua agreed. "Our Nuanua is so smart, she will definitely be a top student in primary school." Chapter 75 It's really gone. Wen Ning, please spare me. After coaxing Nuanua to sleep, Jiang Lu carefully placed her in her crib, where several experienced postpartum nannies took turns keeping an eye on her. "Mr. Jiang, you go to bed quickly, we will watch Nuanua tonight." "Okay." As soon as Jiang Lu left the nursery, he received another message on his phone. "Gu Xingya, are you the person Uncle Jiang introduced to me? Send me a selfie of you. I'm very picky, so if you can't do it, I'll delete you." Jiang Lu replies, "Sorry, I already have a girlfriend. If you mind, just delete me. Don't lie to me. Are you playing hard to get? Hurry up and send me your selfie." Jiang Lu sends a random ugly photo of himself, hoping to discourage this Miss Gu. "Ah! You're so handsome, is this really you? Little brother, can we meet?" Jiang Lu drew back his mouth corners. "Is this Miss Gu blind? Can't she see how ugly this photo of him is? It's a death angle. Miss Gu, I'm not free recently, I still have to go to school. I heard from Uncle Jiang that you're still in college, a freshman. Why don't I go to your school to find you? You're at Daida, right? I'll wait for you in front of your school tomorrow. Jiang Luo simply did not have time to refuse. This Miss Gu was really enthusiastic. It would be good to meet her, and to make things clear right there and then. Jiang Luo was bowing his head and replying to a text message when he suddenly bumped into Wen Ning. She had just finished showering and was wearing a thin nightie, exuding a seductive body fragrance. Jiang Luo lowered his eyes and a large expanse of a woman's chest fell into his eyes, faintly revealing a pinkish-white mass. Jiang Luo's Adam's apple moved slightly, and he immediately averted his gaze. What are you doing? You bumped into me absent-mindedly, Jiang Luo. You either took the initiative to throw yourself at me, or it can be tonight. Before Jiang Luo could refuse, he was already entangled in Wen Ning's arms. Her two fair arms wrapped around his neck and rubbed gently. Jiang Luo. His stunning wife threw herself at him, and Jiang Luo almost couldn't hold back. Wen Ning, listen to me, your body has not yet recovered, and the recovery period will take at least a month. The next second, Jiang Luo was overwhelmed by Wen Ning. My body has recovered very well, I don't have a choice but to lie still. Jiang Luo obediently lay on the bed, and the woman on top of him ripped open his clothes and couldn't wait to kiss him. That's a good boy. Jiang Luo's jaw was squeezed by Wen Ning, and her strong kiss landed on his face. He couldn't avoid her kiss on his neck at all. This sick and spoiled female devil. You're so handsome, Jiang Luo. Why are you so handsome? You're so handsome, and you're here just for me, aren't you? If you let any other woman see you, do you know what will happen? Jiang Luo nodded, I know. That's good. Don't let me down tonight, behave yourself. Wen Ning couldn't wait any longer. After all, it had been several months since she had last touched Jiang Luo, and she really missed him. Having such a handsome boyfriend but not being able to touch him is simply torture. Wen Ning placed a white, slender finger on Jiang Luo's belly. He has a great body, with six-pack abs. Jiang Luo nodded shyly, well, I work out every night. Wen Ning suddenly pounced on top of him. Jiang Luo's eyes widened, his ears red and bleeding from being caught off guard by this woman. Wen Ning, stop messing around, go to bed early, you still have to take care of the baby tomorrow. Wen Ning gently licked her lips, her voice seductive. Don't worry about the baby, the postpartum maid is watching her. Right now, I just want you. Jiang Lu was pitiably pinned underneath, like a little lamb, while Wen Ning revealed her sharp claws. Jiang Lu, you can't escape. Jiang Lu heard this sentence vaguely, in a daze. Why was Wen Ning so persistent with him? What had he done wrong to be dominated by this female demon? Wen Ning still refused to let him go. Give it to me quickly, Jiang Luo. Jiang Luo saw such a charming Wen Ning for the first time, and his throat rolled slightly, really gone. Really? If you're not lying to me, and I find out that you're lying to me, you won't sleep tonight. Sure enough, Jiang Luo lied to Wen Ning and was severely punished all night. In the end, Jiang Luo was about to collapse, and Wen Ning was still full of energy. Jiang Luo. Doesn't this woman ever get tired? He hadn't rested at all that night, and he still had to go to class the next day. He had to do his homework and read. Jiang Luo was so tired that he closed his eyes and fell asleep. He muttered to himself, it's gone, really gone. I know you're gone, so go to sleep and we'll continue tomorrow. Wen Ning kissed Jiang Luo on the cheek. His dark eyes were heavy with a strong sense of possessiveness. So handsome, my Jiang Luo. Jiang Lu always felt like he was being stared at by a poisonous snake, and no matter how hard he tried to escape, he couldn't. He ran as fast as he could, but the snake wrapped itself around his leg, and he couldn't escape. When he woke up, Jiang Lu was sweating profusely. He opened his eyes suddenly and saw Wen Ning's sickly eyes. You're awake? What kind of nightmare did you have? You're sweating. Let me wipe it off for you. Wen Ning thoughtfully took a napkin and wiped the cold sweat from Jiang Luo's head. She still hadn't told me what kind of nightmare you had that scared you. Jiang Luo said perfunctorily, I just dreamed about a poisonous snake. It was terrifying. What time is it now? It's 9 o'clock. There's still more than an hour left. Go back to sleep. No, I'm going to go check on Nuonuo. Nuonuo must have already woken up. Wen Ning sat up, completely naked, with a hot body and a waist that was hard to hold. The only thing that was obvious was a red mark on her stomach. Your stomach. Wen Ning immediately covered her stomach with the quilt and whispered, Is my stomach ugly? It's not even a month old, so it hasn't recovered very well. It should recover in a few months. I applied scar-removing medicine. No, do you hurt? Such a big scar looks so scary, it must hurt a lot. Jiang Luo suddenly asked, and Wen Ning leaned into his arms. Of course it hurts. You have to take good care of me in the future and not make me angry anymore. Jiang Luo nodded. I will. What do you like to eat? I'll bring it back for you today. What do all the young couples at your school eat? Why don't you bring me some? I can't go to the campus with you. Jiang Luo thought for a moment. All the young couples at Tsinghua University go to the back street to eat skewers. It's pretty good. I've eaten it before. I don't know if you like it. Okay, you bring it back for me. I like everything you bring. Jiang Lu gently stroked Wen Ning's stomach. It was originally smooth and flat, but now there was a scar. It was because of his baby. He has to be nicer to Wen Ning in the future. Jiang Lu thought to himself. Chapter 76-76 She simply cannot be fed enough. Jiang Lu dressed and went downstairs. The first thing he did was to look at his baby. The little one had just fallen asleep after finishing his milk. His little face was rosy, his eyelashes were curled and long, and his little hands were placed next to his head. He was so cute even when asleep. Jiang Lu gave his baby a gentle kiss on the little face. The little one moved his mouth a little, probably dreaming of milk. Jiang Lu asked, Is Nua hungry? Why is his mouth moving? Mr. Jiang, Miss Nuonuo has just fallen asleep after a feed and will need to wake up in 2 hours for another feed. Babies need to be fed a lot when they are young. Okay. Wow. The little dolphin is full of energy, reaching out with its 2 paws to grab its father. Its eyes are round and it looks just like Jiang Luo, and the more it grows, the more it looks like him. Jiang Luo picks up the little dolphin and says, Little dolphin, your sister is asleep, why aren't you? Ah. The little dolphin grabbed his father's face and laughed happily. Little rascal, daddy has to go to class, I'll play with you again when I get back tonight. Jiang Luo put the little one in the crib and had dinner with Wen Ning. Wen Ning kept serving Jiang Luo food. Eat more, were you tired last night? You need to make up for it today. That's enough, I can't finish it all. Jiang Luo looked up in protest while eating. Is Wen Ning fattening him up? There's so much food in this bowl, and all kinds of nutritious stuff. He seems to have put on a bit of weight lately. Wen Ning whispered in Jiang Luo's ear, telling her to eat well and continue tonight, so that she wouldn't be hungry again. Jiang Luo's ears turned red and she muttered, Wen Ning, can you please behave while we're eating? Wen Ning drives whenever there's a disagreement, all the time. He's a pure-hearted college student, and this woman is going too far. Fine, I won't say anything, just make sure you feed me well tonight. Wen Ning's tongue gently licked his lips, the corners of his eyes raised, I'm a real glutton. Jiang Luo twisted his body to the other side and continued eating. Who needs a wife who wants it every day? She's just insatiable. Jiang Luo finished eating and fled. Wen Ning chased after him and handed him a few books. Jiang Luo, you forgot the books on the table and this lunch. I had the kitchen make it for you, it should be better than the food at school. Take it with you. Thanks. Jiang Luo took the things. Why are you running so fast? Am I a wolf or a tiger? Are you that afraid of me? Jiang Luo shook his head, no. I have class in a while, I'll go first. I'll bring you dinner tonight. You rest at home, don't go to the company, don't run around until you're well. Wen Ning raised the corners of her eyes, looking at him. Are you really concerned about me? Jiang Luo didn't answer, blushing as he quickly started the car. Wen Ning let out a low laugh. This little arrogant brat, he's just concerned about her, but he won't admit it. Jiang Luo glanced at the lunchbox next to him. He was going to go to class, and Wen Ning had even prepared his lunch. Who wants it? Jiang Luo didn't care, and wanted to throw it in the trash, but he didn't want to waste it. In the end, he returned to the dorm with the lunchbox. Luo, why did you bring a lunchbox? Didn't you eat this morning? Jiang Luo placed the box on the table. There were 4 or 5 layers, so there should be quite a lot of food. My girlfriend prepared this lunch for me. She said the food in the school cafeteria is no good, and she's afraid I'll get too thin. Damn it. John Luo, don't go too far, showing off your affection in front of the two of us. Tian Chang wanted to see what the food was like, but as soon as he reached out, John Luo stopped him. Don't touch it, this is my girlfriend's lunch for me. If you want to eat it, tell your girlfriend to prepare it for you. You're so stingy, Luor. I was just looking, my girlfriend doesn't care about me like this. Your girlfriend is really great, you have to treasure her, don't let anyone else take her away. You can't find a girlfriend like this with a searchlight. She even prepares your clothes, shoes, and daily necessities, and even your meals. Tian Chang said that it was not true not to be jealous, and tears of envy flowed from his mouth. Meng Zhou was also very envious. Luor, I'm a little suspicious. Did you save the entire galaxy in your previous life, so you were assigned such a good girlfriend? John Luo scratched his head. I don't think so. My girlfriend actually has a flaw. She's extremely domineering and doesn't allow me to talk to other girls. She's just too fond of you, that's why she's so domineering. Luor, when can I have such a good girlfriend too? I'll be happy even in my dreams. Jiang Luo was half believing, really? Of course. What's wrong with her being fond of you? You're just not appreciating your good fortune. Let's go, it's time for class. We have 2 acting classes in the morning, and then we'll go cook dinner. The 3 of them went to class together. After watching a performance by the actor, Tian Chang and Meng Zhou rushed directly into the cafeteria after class and ordered a meal to go. The 3 of them ate in their dorm room. Tian Chang looked at the eggplant and potatoes in his bowl and then at Zhang Luo's large table full of dishes, with seafood and meat of all kinds, and decisively went up to help himself to some food. Luor, you won't be able to finish all this food, so why don't we help you? Great, Minga, you come too. My girlfriend brought me too much food, and it would be a waste if I didn't eat it all. The 3 of them sat down to eat together, and Tian Chang gobbled his food down. I've never eaten such delicious food in my life. Oh my, what is this? Abalone, I guess. It's not bad. Zhang Luo also ate slowly, and casually asked, Brother Chang, what snacks are you and your girlfriend going to eat tonight? Of course it's barbecue, skewers, squid. Oh. Luor, why are you asking this? Do you want to go with your girlfriend? Your girlfriend isn't at school. It's okay, I'll bring it to her. Although she's a few years older than me, she's also a girl, so she should like these too. At 6 p.m., Zhang Luo left the school gate and incidentally, put the salted duck eggs that he hadn't finished eating into his pocket. He also bought a lot of skewers on the snack street outside. Wen Ning might like to eat skewers after all, she is also a girl. Zhang Luo was about to get into the car when he was suddenly stopped. Are you Zhang Luo? Zhang Luo turned his head and a chubby girl appeared in his eyes, wearing a cream-colored spring dress. She wasn't too short and was quite pretty, but she was a bit overweight. Zhang Luo asked doubtfully, Are you? I'm Gu Xinya, don't you remember? I chatted with you on the phone and I said I would wait for you at the gate of the imperial capital today. I didn't realize you were so handsome, exactly the boyfriend I had in mind. Can you be my boyfriend? Gu Xinya shyly lowered her head, waiting for Zhang Luo's reply. Chapter 7777 Daddy's first gift to his baby. Miss Gu, I already told you on the phone that I have a girlfriend and I can't agree to your request. Thank you for your love, I'll go now. Zhang Luo's rejection was also decisive and to the point, without any hesitation. Just as he was about to get into his car, he was stopped by Gu Xinya again. Is your girlfriend rich? I can give you a lot of money. If you marry me in the future, the Gu family group will all be yours. Zhang Lu withdrew his hand. My girlfriend and I are very much in love. Miss Gu is so beautiful, she will definitely have a better boyfriend in the future. Goodbye, I'm leaving first. Gu Xinya stopped Zhang Lu's car again. It's so late, why don't we have dinner together? I'll treat, you can have whatever you want. Miss Gu, what do you think of this? Zhang Lu waved a skewer in front of Gu Xinya's face. Gu Xinya's face lit up with joy, and she raised her hand to catch it. Did you buy this for me? How did you know I like skewers? Zhang Lu took it back. He bought it for his girlfriend. It's still hot. If I eat with you, the skewers will get cold. Maybe next time. Gu Xinya let her eyes drop down in disappointment. Why are you so good to your girlfriend and buy her skewers? Can I come back and see you tomorrow? Zhang Lu nodded perfunctorily. He just wanted to get rid of this young lady quickly. Jiang Luo, you did promise me. I'll come back when you finish class tomorrow. You have to have dinner with me. Don't go back on your word. Jiang Luo didn't even say yes, and he just started the engine and drove off, leaving Guxinya standing there alone. She covered her plump face with her hands, blushing. It seemed like she had met the love of her life. It was Jiang Luo. He was so handsome. Jiang Luo felt his ears turn red. Could it be that someone was missing him? It must be that female devil, and maybe even his sweet daughter. Thinking of his lovely daughter, Jiang Lu once again increased his speed. He couldn't wait to go home to see his daughter. Passing by a doll shop, he could see many cute stuffed animals through the glass. Jiang Lu couldn't help but stop the car. A pretty waitress asked, "Sir, what can I help you with?" Jiang Lu asked, "I want to buy a doll for my baby. My daughter was born less than a month ago. What kind of doll would be suitable for her?" The waitress asked incredulously, "A daughter? You already have a daughter? She looks like she's only 18 or 19. Jiang Lu looked up proudly and said, "Well, my daughter was born less than a month ago. What kind of doll would suit her? Your baby is so young, she needs a particularly soft doll. Look, how about this pink bunny? The pink bunny is wearing a lace hat, it's just adorable. And most importantly, it's soft, fluffy and cuddly, so it must be very comfortable to hold." Jiang Luo Dao, "Okay, I'll take this one." He was about to pay for it when Jiang Luo suddenly remembered that he had a cheap son. He couldn't favor one over the other, so he bought a doll for the brat too. Jiang Luo immediately set his eyes on a little light blue dolphin in the window. It was cute and soft. "I'll take this one too, my son should like it." The waitresses next to him opened their mouths wide, shocked beyond words. You? You even have a son?" "Well, twins." Everyone around them was envious. Those were twins, which was a particularly small chance, less than 1/10,000. "Sir, that'll be 18,300. So expensive." Jiang Lu didn't have that much money on hand, so she had to take out the card Wen Ning had given her and pay it back when she earned some money during the summer vacation. After swiping the card, the stuffed animal was packed up. 2 very delicate boxes, one pink and one blue, with bows tied on top. Jiang Lu returned home with a lot of gifts, and first handed Wen Ning the steaming skewers. "Wen Ning, I bought you the skewers. I don't know what you like to eat, so I bought you everything. I didn't put any chili in it, you can't eat spicy food right now." After Wen Ning took it, he asked, "What's the box you're holding?" "A gift for me? It's a gift for Nuozi and the little dolphin." Jiang Luo took Nuonuo from the arms of the nanny, and the little guy cried out happily when he saw his father. He was so excited to see his father. "Wow!" Jiang Luo patted Nuonuo's rosy little face. "Nuonuo, Daddy brought you a present today, would you open it yourself?" "Wow!" Jiang Luo placed the box in Nuonuo's hands. "Baby, do you like it?" "Ah." Jiang Luo took the little hands of the little boy and opened the box. Inside was a little pink bunny. The little boy grabbed the bunny with both hands and squealed with joy. "Wen Ning, look, how much the little boy likes the doll I brought him. He won't let go of it with both hands. You are thoughtful, and you have also prepared gifts for the little boy and the little dolphin." Wen Ning ate a skewer of grilled squid, and the corners of her mouth rose slightly. "As a father, I haven't prepared much for my baby either. This is the first gift I've given my baby. I hope the little rabbit and dolphin dolls can grow up with Nuonuo and Xiaodampo." Nuonuo was playing with the rabbit ears and was overjoyed. Wen Ning ate another string of potato chips. The red lips were stained with oil, looking very attractive. Jiang Luo's Adam's apple moved slightly, and he lifted his hand to help her wipe off the oil. "Is it delicious?" "Of course it's delicious, you brought it." Wen Ning continued to enjoy her meal. This was the first time she had eaten this kind of food, and it had a unique taste. "Well, I came back as soon as I finished shopping, because skewers get cold and lose their taste." Jiang Lu took out a few salted duck eggs from his pocket and offered them to her. Wen Ning raised her eyebrows. "Did you bring me so much delicious food today?" Jiang Lu coughed a few times, turned his head to the side, and seemed to be talking to himself. "Well, you have a hard time taking care of the baby at home, so I brought you." Wen Ning forced Jiang Luo's head to turn around and look at her. "What did you say?" "I didn't hear you, say it again." I said, eat up, it'll get cold if you don't. I'll take the little dolphin's present to him. Jiang Luo placed Nuonuo in Wen Ning's arms, took the present and walked over to the cot. The little dolphin was looking at the ceiling with big round eyes, eating with his little hands and occasionally making a few woofs. Seeing his father, he became even more excited. He held out a small hand to grab his father's, and said, Awa. Little dolphin, I brought you a little present today. Jiang Luo picked up the little one and took out the little dolphin doll inside and placed it in the baby's arms. This is the little dolphin doll, it will be your little friend from now on. When I'm not around, let the little dolphin doll keep you company, okay? The little dolphin held the doll with one small hand and said, wow. The baby really likes the gift from his father. These two dolls will always be with the baby as he grows up. Chapter 78 Heart Melting. Secretly kissing the female devil. When Ning finished eating the skewers and threw the skewer aside in a huff. Jiang Luo, you have prepared a gift for the baby, but what about mine? Jiang Luo turned his head and asked, what gift do you want? Wen Ning snorted and didn't say anything. Jiang Luo immediately went to comfort her. Wen Ning, don't be angry, I'll bring you a present when I come back tomorrow. It's been so long, and he really hasn't given Wen Ning a present. You promise? Don't lie to me. Jiang Lu promised seriously, I won't, I'll bring you a present tomorrow. You just gave birth to a child, getting angry is bad for your health, you might even grow old. Grow old? Am I really old? Wen Ning covered her face. She will soon have her 25th birthday. You're not old. You're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. You're not old at all. Everyone says that after giving birth, your body will lose its shape and you'll grow old, but except for her body becoming even more attractive, Wen Ning doesn't seem to have changed at all. Her breasts are so big that Jiang Luo is afraid they'll burst out of her clothes. Really, you're not lying to me? No. Her soft lips are pressed against Jiang Luo's ear, and Wen Ning's voice is seductive, kiss me. Jiang Luo looks around, but there's no one around. Then, he gently kissed Wen Ning's lips, breathing heavily, I really didn't lie to you, Wen Ning. It's so beautiful. Such a beautiful beauty, letting him do whatever he wants. Jiang Lu has completely forgotten the baby in his arms, closing his eyes and kissing Wen Ning passionately. He doesn't know why he's kissing, either. It must have been Wen Ning who taught him. She taught him everything. Wen Ning. Jiang Lu couldn't wait to push the person against the sofa. It was like a little wild beast that had just been released from its cage, and Wen Ning was even bitten and hurt. The little wild beast he raised himself had turned into a big wolf dog. Wen Ning was very satisfied. Her fair arms climbed around his neck, and the two of them were cuddling on the sofa. Wow! The baby suddenly let out a cry, and Jiang Lu immediately withdrew his tongue and let go of Wen Ning. His lips felt numb, as if he had been electrocuted. What did he just do? It seemed like he had forcibly kissed the female devil. Jiang Lu lowered his eyes, as if he had done something wrong. That Wen Ning, I'm sorry, just now Wen Ning lifted Jiang Lu's chin and praised, you did a good job just now, I'm very satisfied. This is how it should be in the future, I'm not angry, you can do anything to me, anything. Jiang Lu's Adam's apple rolled slightly, and some unsuitable images suddenly came to mind. Does he want to do those things to Wen Ning too? He doesn't like Wen Ning, he doesn't like her. Jiang Lu silently admonished himself in his heart. Jiang Lu, what are you thinking about? The little dolphin is going to be breastfed, so let's hand her over to the nanny and go eat. Wen Ning took Jiang Lu to dinner, but Jiang Lu was a little distracted. Why did he want to do those things to Wen Ning? He doesn't like Wen Ning, he likes gentle women, and Wen Ning is a sick and spoiled female devil. Jiang Luo, dinner is ready, it will get cold if you don't eat it soon. Jiang Luo snapped back to reality, ate absent-mindedly, and glanced at Wen Ning again, his heart starting to race. He couldn't possibly like Wen Ning, it was impossible. Wen Ning continued to serve Jiang Luo, saying, eat more, you still need to grow. Have you grown recently? I think you're already 1.87 meters tall. Jiang Luo nodded and replied, I guess so. Wen Ning feeds him well every day, so of course he's growing. He might even grow to be 1.9 meters tall. You have good genes, so our Nua in Shao Haidong will definitely grow tall too. Wen Ning continued to serve Jiang Luo food, even peeling the shrimp for him. Thanks, you eat too. Jiang Luo ate one and then secretly glanced at Wen Ning. Why did he feel that Wen Ning was becoming more and more beautiful? It seemed that he was starting to like her a little. What should he do? He couldn't really like this female devil, could he? The female devil was so bad, bullying him every night, exploiting him, squeezing him until there was nothing left. No, it's not that. Wen Ning is just too beautiful, that's why he looks at her a little longer. What are you looking at me for? Is there something on my face? Jiang Luo shook his head, no. That night, Jiang Luo had the backbone to not go to Wen Ning's room to sleep with him, but instead went back to his own room. Wen Ning waited and waited, but Jiang Luo did not come, so he put on a sexy nightgown and knocked on Jiang Luo's door. Jiang Luo, are you in there? Jiang Luo opened the door, and the woman in front of him was wearing a black strapless dress. The soft mass of her breasts was about to burst out, and they were dazzlingly white. Her long, slender white legs made Jiang Luo's mouth dry. This female devil is a big baby, but she has a great figure. Those legs are even longer than a movie star's. With a figure like that, she's not afraid of bursting out of her pajamas. Why did she come to her own room? Aren't you supposed to sleep with her? There are still 13 years to go. Jiang Lu resisted the temptation and said, Wen Ning, I have something to do tomorrow, so I need to go to bed early tonight. Okay, I promise, I won't touch you tonight. You sleep with me, otherwise I won't be able to sleep. Jiang Lu had not yet agreed when Wen Ning dragged him away. When they went to bed, Wen Ning did not touch him. Jiang Lu lay on the bed, tossing and turning, unable to sleep, and stared at Wen Ning's perfect profile. Even without makeup, her face was breathtakingly beautiful, with a classic oval face, smooth curves, a high nose, and lips that glowed with a slight sheen. So beautiful. Is this his future wife? Jiang Luo seemed to be moved, and he lifted his hand to gently poke Wen Ning's face. Wen Ning suddenly moved her lips, and Jiang Luo immediately closed his eyes in fear. Has he been discovered? After a while, there was no movement, and Jiang Luo opened his eyes again. The woman next to him was sound asleep. Jiang Luo stared at Wen Ning's lips, his heart pounding. You said you were my wife, I'll kiss you, it should be fine, right? Jiang Lu cautiously moved closer, his breathing getting closer and closer, and his heartbeat getting faster and faster. This was the first time he had done something like this, and Jiang Lu was so nervous. Finally, he touched Wen Ning's lips, and it felt like he had been electrocuted. So soft. Jiang Lu leaned over Wen Ning and kissed her gently. His heartbeat quickened even more, and it was about to jump out of his chest. He was actually stealing a kiss from Wen Ning. The woman exuded a fresh and seductive body fragrance. I like it so much. Jiang Lu couldn't control himself, and fell on Wen Ning and kissed her. His clothes were ripped open by him, and Wen Ning seemed to notice, moving her eyebrows. Jiang Lu immediately withdrew his hand and lay down again. What was he doing just now? He didn't like Wen Ning, he only liked Wen Ning's face and her body. Yes, it must be like this. Jiang Lu's heartbeat had not returned to normal, so he carefully moved to Wen Ning's side, put her in his arms, and hugged her to sleep. His future wife, sleeping in his arms, should be fine. Chapter 79. Why does his wife have to be seen by others? Wen Ning opened her eyes. A large hand was around her waist, and what caught her eye was a handsome face. She gently stroked Jiang Luo's face and kissed his lips. Jiang Luo raised his eyebrows and opened his eyes suddenly. This female devil kissed him in the morning. Jiang Lu raised his hand to push Wen Ning, but accidentally touched the soft mass in front of his chest. He was so scared that he immediately withdrew his hand, blushing. He really didn't mean to do it. Wen Ning raised the corners of her eyes. Did he do it on purpose? Did he really mean to do it? I didn't blame you, do you want to touch it again? No, I only touched it accidentally. Wen Ning deliberately took Jiang Lu's hand and placed it on her full chest, her voice seductive. You're my husband, is it okay if I let you touch it? Jiang Luo's Adam's apple moved slightly, and the soft touch of her hand felt damn good. Well, really, Wen Ning, I still have class today, I'll go to class first. He was afraid of lying down again, and this female demon would overwhelm him again. She wanted it even more in the morning. Wen Ning sat on Jiang Luo's waist and refused to let him go. She whispered, Jiang Luo, why were you hugging me while we were sleeping? Jiang Luo shifted his gaze away sheepishly. I was hugging you? I probably took you for my pillow last night. Pillow? Wen Ning frowned. You took me for your pillow? Does a pillow feel better in your hands? I'm a person. I guess so. I'm going to class, so get off first. John Luo hugged Wen Ying's soft waist and carried her down, getting up to get dressed. A white shirt and suit pants made him look a bit more mature. When it came to tying the tie, Zhang Lu was stumped again. He didn't know how to tie this kind of tie, but he had to wear formal attire today. He heard that it was some kind of director coming to select people. He actually didn't want to be selected at all. The lesson from last time was enough. It was Wen Ning who saved him. Zhang Lu took the tie and turned around. Wen Ning was kneeling in the same spot, motionless. Zhang Lu asked softly, "Wen Ning, what's wrong?" Wen Ning looked up, her eyes cold. "She used me as a pillow." "Zhang Luo, you're really something." She grabbed Zhang Luo's arm and pulled slightly. Zhang Luo was pulled onto the bed, and Wen Ning pressed him back down again. "Looks like I need to teach you a good lesson. Who the hell do you think I am?" Zhang Luo's freshly ironed clothes were crumpled by Wen Ning, and 2 buttons on his collar popped open. He immediately stopped her. "Wen Ning, stop it. I don't treat you like a pillow. I just wanted to hug you last night, so..." Wen Ning stopped what she was doing. Her cold eyes gradually regained clarity. "What did you say?" I just wanted to hug you to sleep." After these words, Zhang Lu's ears turned red again. Wen Ning's face instantly turned from cloudy to sunny. She raised the corners of her lips and leaned over Zhang Lu's face and asked, "Really? Really, I didn't treat you like a pillow. Don't be angry." Zhang Lu slowly leaned in and placed a kiss on Wen Ning's beautiful side face, shyly saying, "Don't be angry, okay? Anger is bad for your health." "Okay." Wen Ning was soothed by Zhang Lu's kiss. She seemed in a good mood and personally tied Zhang Lu's tie. "Why are you wearing this outfit today? Is there some kind of school activity?" Usually Zhang Lu wears casual clothes, and at first glance he looks like an immature college student. Wearing this outfit, he looks a bit more mature. A director is coming today to select people, and the school is taking it quite seriously, so everyone has to change into formal attire. I hope to God, they don't pick me," Zhang Lu muttered to himself. After the lesson he learned last time, he no longer trusted anyone, except Wen Ning. "It's okay, I'm here for you." Wen Ning hugged Zhang Lu's thin waist, and her breasts pressed tightly against him. Zhang Lu could feel it clearly, and his throat tightened, so he immediately pushed Wen Ning away. "I'm going to eat, you change first. These are my clothes, I've been wearing pajamas at home lately." Zhang Lu glanced at the woman next to him in a black, ultra-short, halter-neck pajama top that revealed her pale thighs, and from there, the unassumingly small waist, and the bulge in her chest that was about to burst out of her shirt. If Wen Ning went out wearing this pajama top, and someone saw it, just thinking about it made Zhang Lu want to kill someone. Why would his wife want to show herself off to others? This pajamas are no good, they're too short and too skimpy. Wen Ning smiled wryly and deliberately said, "Huh? No good? What do you think I should wear? Wear something longer is better looking." Zhang Luo spoke with a serious and lofty air. In fact, he just didn't want others to see his wife. Wen Ning raised the corner of his eyes. "Okay, then you help me pick." Zhang Luo went to the closet and carefully selected pajamas. "This one is no good, the back is too revealing, this one is no good either, it's too short, and this one is see-through." After a long time, he finally chose a long black velvet pajama with a very conservative round neckline that almost covered his neck. "This one is good, it looks good and it's long." Wen Ning glanced at the clothes in Zhang Luo's hands. Those were old models from several years ago, which he had forgotten to throw away and had found again when he was organizing his closet. What's more, she hates the kind of round neckline. "Wen Ning, you don't like it?" "I think it looks pretty good." Wen Ning leaned into Zhang Luo's embrace and rubbed against him. "Of course she likes it. If you think it looks good, wear it today and help me change." "My hands hurt." Zhang Luo was caught off guard and nodded his agreement. Wen Ning was not being honest when she changed clothes, and Zhang Luo was sweating from all the fuss. Finally, Zhang Lu finished dressing, and finally, he let out a sigh of relief as he zipped up Wen Ning's back. The dress covered Wen Ning up tightly, with a long skirt that reached her ankles and long sleeves that didn't even show her arms. Zhang Lu couldn't have been more satisfied. "It looks good, this type looks good, Wen Ning, you'll wear long skirts from now on." Wen Ning seemed to have seen Zhang Lu's thoughts, and she pointed her finger at his chest. "Long skirts? You don't like short skirts, black silk?" Zhang Luo's throat rolled slightly, delighted. When Ning raised her pretty eyebrows and then let me wear long skirts? Wear short skirts at home, black silk. Jiang Luo almost bit his tongue when he spoke. When Ning raised the corner of her lips. I can't tell, her boyfriend with this simple and shy appearance has quite a deep mind. When Ning asked knowingly, why? Can't wear short skirts outside? Jiang Luo was unable to justify himself, and with a weak voice, he hung his head and whispered, because you are my fiancé, you can't show it to anyone. Chapter 80 Jiang Luo, work hard to earn money and raise the baby. When Ning laughed softly, and finally admitted it. Jiang Luo turned his head to the side and changed the subject. I'm going to eat, and I have class later. When Ning and Jiang Luo walked downstairs together, holding hands like a young couple in love. When Wan looked up and asked, Sister, this is not the same dress from a few years ago. You didn't like the style and said you were going to throw it away after wearing it once. Why are you wearing it again today? I like this style again. When Wan looked puzzled. Did this style of dress really look good? Didn't she say it was ugly? Did having a baby change her sister's taste? Jiang Luo had just come downstairs and saw the little milk-filled ball on the baby bed, with two little paws playing with the rabbit ears. Has Nuoni had her milk? A young postpartum care worker replied, Mr. Jiang, Miss Nuoni has just finished feeding her, and she is full of energy now. Wow! The baby seemed to hear her father's voice, and started crying again, waving her two little paws and kicking her little feet. Jiang Luo walked over to Nuoni, touched her rosy little face, and felt her soft, elastic skin. My dear, Daddy is here. You woke up early in the morning and are so energetic? Wow! The baby opened his big mouth and talked to his father. I don't know what he said, but he laughed happily again. The little dolphin was so happy to see his father that he waved his little hands to grab him. Ah! Jiang Luo looked at his two little treasures and his heart melted. His babies were so cute. He wanted to spend every day with them as they grew up. When Ning sat down at the table and reminded him, Jiang Luo, it's time to eat. You have class later, and you can play with the babies again when you get home tonight. Okay. Jiang Luo was full again from when Ning's feeding. Drink your kanji. I had the kitchen make you some nutritious kanji on purpose. You used to have a weak stomach, but now it's slowly getting better. Good. Jiang Luo obediently took a sip of the porridge. When he was in high school, in order to save money, he skipped dinner and breakfast, and only ate lunch once a day, so his stomach was not very good and occasionally ached. When Ning knew this and had the kitchen make stomach-nourishing porridge every morning and evening, which was made with all kinds of expensive nutritious ingredients. Jiang Lu didn't know what they were, so he just drank it. He owes Wen Ning a lot, so he will pay her back slowly in the future. Before leaving, Jiang Luo went to see Nuonyuo again. Nuonyuo, Daddy has to go to class, so let the little rabbit keep you company for now, and Daddy will come back in the evening to keep you company. Little dolphin, you have to keep an eye on your little sister, Daddy has to go first. As soon as Jiang Luo left, little Nuonyuo couldn't see her father, and her small mouth pouted with grievance. She was about to cry, so the postpartum nanny quickly held her in her arms and soothed her. Wow! Nuonyuo's voice was very small, and she was crying so hard that she wanted to find her father. The nanny tried to comfort her, but she couldn't stop the crying. Wen Ning held the baby herself and tried to comfort her. This was her first time being a mother, and she wasn't very skilled at holding a baby. Nuonyuo, don't cry. Daddy has to go to class, but he'll be back in the evening to keep you company. Don't cry, be a good girl. Wen Ning gently comforted the baby. The baby seemed to smell the scent of her mother, and stopped crying as she grabbed her mother's clothes with her two little hands. Jiang Luo parked the car in the parking lot outside the school. As soon as he got out of the car, a figure suddenly appeared, startling him. Jiang Luo, what's wrong? I didn't scare you, did I? Gu Xinya asked with concern. Jiang Luo looked helpless, it's nothing. Miss Gu, why are you here? It's still early. I thought I'd bring you breakfast. I bought you a breakfast. Do you like it? Gu Xinya asked shyly. Jiang Lu did not answer, but politely said, Thank you for your kindness, Miss Gu, but I have already eaten. Already eaten? You can save it for lunch. I bought you Western food, sandwiches and steak. Thank you, but really, I don't need it. I'll go to class first. Jiang Lu was about to leave when Gu Xinya grabbed his hand and shoved the breakfast into his arms. Jiang Lu, you're in luck. Someone actually brought you breakfast. Jiang Huai got out of the car, dressed in a suit, his hair meticulously groomed, looking more like a playboy than anything else. Gu Xinya didn't feel good about seeing Jiang Huai and ignored him. "Miss Gu, I'm Jiang Huai, the young master of the Jiang family. We've met before, don't you remember?" Gu Xinya impatiently replied, "No, I don't remember." Then she turned to Zhang Luo and said gently, "Zhang Luo, I'll go now, and I'll come back tonight. Don't forget, we'll have dinner together tonight. What kind of clothes do you like? Black, white, or something else? I think it should be black." Before she finished speaking, Gu Xinya had already got into the car. Zhang Luo looked puzzled. "When did I agree to have dinner with you? What does it matter what color clothes you wear?" He only liked Wen Ning to wear black. Gu Xinya didn't hear this, and was still indulging in tonight's date, determined to choose the most beautiful outfit. Jiang Huai laughed and said, "Zhang Lu, I think you and that Gu family miss are quite a match. She likes you so much that she even brings you breakfast. Gu Xinya is quite wealthy, and she is an only child. In the future, everything in the Gu family will be yours." Zhang Lu said, "I already have a girlfriend, Jiang Huai. Why don't you go? I think she and you are quite a match." Jiang Huai's face turned pale. How could the young master look at that fat guy? He was so fat, more than 200 pounds, what if he crushed people to death? Even if he died, he would never be with Gu Xinya. Zhang Lu frowned and said, "Jiang Huai, why are you still attacking other people's weight? Jiang Luo, don't pretend. If Miss Gu was beautiful and had a good figure, you would have agreed to the marriage a long time ago. I have a girlfriend. My girlfriend is very good to me. I won't break up with her. Don't even think about this matter." After saying that, Zhang Luo turned around and left. Of course he knew what the Jiang family was up to, they just wanted the Gu family's company, shameless. He looked at the breakfast in his hands, it was a pity to waste the goodwill of others, so he took it back to give it to Cheng Gu. Sure enough, Tian Cheng didn't have breakfast, and he opened the box and ate it ravenously, praising it in the process. "This is Deke's Western food, it costs hundreds of dollars for a meal, Luor, how can you bear to give it to me?" Jiang Lu coughed a few times, and said, "You are after all my good brother, it is only right that I give it to you." "Cheng Gu, what is going on today? I heard that the director is selecting people again, this time from the class. What is the debut? Anyway, being selected means instant success. Luor, weren't you selected by director you last time? Why have you not heard anything? You weren't even asked to make a movie, and I was hoping to ride on your coattails." Jiang Lu felt even more embarrassed, and thinking about what happened last time, he felt bad. If it weren't for Wen Ning to come to his rescue, his innocence would have been lost. "Director, you said that I was still in college and too young, and terminated our contract." "Ah, why did you terminate the contract? I still want you to lead the way. It's okay, you will definitely be selected this time. I heard that this time they are selecting trainees." Jiang Lu was a little moved, it sounded quite reliable. After he became famous, he would be able to make a good living to support his daughter and son. Chapter 81 Jiang Luo, stop fighting, am I really that popular? Jiang Luo deliberately messed up his hair, pulled his clothes crumpled, and almost smeared mud on his face. Tian Cheng was surprised and said, "Luor, what are you doing? You're going to audition in a while, and although you're good looking, you can't waste yourself like this." "It's okay, Chinga, how's my hair, is it messy enough, does it look terrible?" Tian Cheng looked at Jiang Luo with 2 fingers holding his chin, then decisively shook his head. "Luor, you're just too handsome, your hairstyle doesn't affect your appearance at all, your face is right there." Meng Zhou added, "Your hair is messy but you're still so handsome, Jiang Luo, are you going to let anyone live?" Jiang Luo looked at his face in the mirror with a helpless expression. Is he really that handsome? He can't disfigure himself just to avoid being selected. No, absolutely not. At worst, he can just refuse. Those directors can't force him to sign. Tian Cheng tidied his hair and sprayed hairspray all over it. The whole big pompadour actually made him look a bit handsome. Tian Cheng asked narcissistically, "Luor, how do you like my hair?" "Handsome." "Handsome, Cheng Gu, you're the handsomest today." Tian Cheng quickened his pace and went out, urging, "Hurry up and go, my hairspray isn't very good, it'll fall over in a moment." The classroom. The students were all dressed up, like peacocks showing off their feathers. Jiang Huai had specially worn a pink suit today, with light makeup and his hair meticulously groomed. Jiang Luo drew in his mouth corners, a small audition, so exaggerated? It's John Luo, what's wrong with his hair? It's so messy, is it the latest hairstyle? He feels even more handsome than before. So handsome, worthy of being the school grass, the face of our department, the new hairstyle is handsome. He's very aloof and doesn't talk to other girls at all. John Lu is speechless. What new hairstyle? This is just him messing it up on purpose. Aloof? He doesn't talk to other female classmates because he's afraid that the female devil will find out and chop off their hands. Is it easy for him? John Lu deliberately sat in the corner and took a book to block his face, afraid of being seen by others. Luor, why did you bring a book? You're too wrapped up in it. The global math competition is about to start, I need to prepare, you guys play. John Luo picked up a pen and continued to solve problems. It wasn't long before there was a sound of footsteps outside the door. Director Lu smiled and said, Mr. Wu, this is the first-year acting class, there are 38 students in total. Well, I'll go in and see if there are any good prospects. The middle-aged man called Mr. Wu came in. His blue suit couldn't hide his pot belly, and with glasses on his face, he looked like a businessman. When they saw the director come in, the students in the class immediately looked up, afraid that the director wouldn't be able to see their faces. Only John Luo was buried in his questions, scratching his head from time to time, when suddenly he had an inspiration. Tian Chang nudged John Luo with his elbow and whispered, Luo, the director is here, stop working on your questions. John Luo was unmoved. He couldn't see him. Mr. Wu scanned the class and shook his head repeatedly, unable to make a choice. No, Lu, there's no one who's particularly impressive. Director Lu said, Mr. Wu, please take another look. Class 1 is the best class here. And there's John Luo in the last row, he's the school hunk. John Luo's scalp tingled. Sure enough, it had come to this. Director Lu had even mentioned his name. You're the director of the department, and you're still concerned about the school grass? Director Wu walked over to John Luo and asked, What are you doing? John Luo looked up politely and said, Practicing questions. It didn't matter that he didn't look up, but when he did, Director Wu took one look and fell in love. You're the one, Director Wu said excitedly. John Luo asked in confusion, What? Director Wu asked, Are you willing to sign with our company? In 3 months, go to the rising stars of creation, and with your looks, you'll definitely make it. John Luo looked indifferent. Me? I might not be available, I still have to participate in the national mathematics competition. The surrounding classmates were about to vomit blood. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and John Luo is still unwilling to do it. If they were given this opportunity, they would be overjoyed. Zhang Huai was even more furious, gnashing his teeth. This John Luo, not only is she prettier than him, she is also taller than him? So arrogant. Director Wu continued to dissuade him, Never mind, the training in our company is very relaxed, only 7 or 8 hours a day, it won't waste much of your time. The director echoed, Yes, John Luo, there are not many courses in the acting department. The most important thing is resources. You are only a freshman now, and you have access to such good resources, so the future is promising. You want me to join the trainee program, but I can't sing or dance. Zhang Luo frowned. He can act, he can play a corpse. It's okay, you can practice slowly. You look so good, you can make it with just your face. Talent doesn't matter. Doesn't matter? President Wu assured him, Not very important. Your face is practically made for show business. Don't worry, as long as you sign with our company, we will definitely make you a star. Zhang Lu hesitated. After a while, another group of people came in. In a few months, the creation of new stars will begin, and many entertainment companies will come to recruit new talent. President Wu, what a coincidence, you are here to select people as well. President Wang is here too, what a coincidence. The two bigwigs exchanged pleasantries, and in the end, their attention fell on John Luo. President Wang looked at John Luo with a smile, You must be John Luo, the campus heartthrob at Daida University, a good talent, would you like to sign with our Xingchen Entertainment? This is someone that their President Wen has his eye on, and he has specifically asked him to personally look at him. This person really got President Wen's attention. John Luo was dumbfounded, he hadn't done anything, why were these people trying to poach him? He is just an ordinary college student. President Wu said unhappily, President Wang, this is someone I liked first, you have to decide who goes first. Who goes first? The most important thing is to see Mr. Zhang's choice. Our company is willing to offer favorable terms. This is the contract. Mr. Jiang can take a look first. Jiang Lu received a contract with a dumbfounded face. President Wu and his entourage were even more dumbfounded. This person came prepared. Could it be that he liked Jiang Lu a long time ago? His classmates were also envious. Being fought over by two major entertainment companies was the pinnacle of life. Tian Chang's envy tears flowed from his mouth. When would such a good thing happen to him? After all, he and Luo were in the same dormitory, so he should get some of the credit. Mr. Jiang, please take a look at the contract. If you think there is a problem, we can change it. Jiang Luo roughly scanned the contract. The contract period, 3 years, monthly salary, 100,000. There is definitely a problem. How could they offer such a high salary to a newcomer? Chapter 82 like leather cosplay suits? Jiang Lu was afraid that he had miscounted, so he counted again. It really was 100,000 yuan per month. Jiang Lu looked at President Wang in disbelief and asked, "Did you put an extra zero in there?" "No, this is the salary we offer you. If you make it big, it will only go up, and you can also do endorsements. This is just the basic salary." Jiang Lu was a little tempted. Although he was supported by the female devil, she could not support him forever. He still had to earn money to support his daughter and son. Wu Zong asked incredulously, "Lao Wang, you're really going all out? Aren't you afraid of losing money?" He was just a newcomer. He had originally thought that he could recruit someone for a few thousand yuan, but he didn't expect someone to come along and offer such a high salary. How could he compete? This is not something that Mr. Wu needs to worry about. Jiang Luo is someone our company is interested in, and we will definitely recruit him. If you want to recruit him, show some sincerity. Mr. Wu coughed a few times. I think a few $1,000s is enough for a newcomer's salary. This is a bit too much. I'll pick someone else if you give me this person. He's just a bit good-looking, can't sing or dance, and is not worth this price at all. Thank you very much, Mr. Wu. Mr. Wang turned to Mr. Jiang and said, "Mr. Jiang, can we sign the contract today?" Jiang Lu hesitated for a moment and did not move his pen for a long time. Is there really such a good thing under the sun? Luo, sign it quickly, the monthly salary is 100,000 yuan. Tian Chang anxiously urged from the side. Jiang Lu asked again, the contract is only for 3 years, and after 3 years I can leave. Will I be paid every month during these 3 years? A pretty female assistant replied, Mr. Jiang, it's like this, you only need to train for 1 to 2 hours a day, and you can skip work if you're busy. You can also terminate the contract at any time if you want to, and we don't charge a penalty. Upon hearing this, Jiang Lu decisively signed his name. It was such a good deal that it had even come his way, and the salary was so high that there was no penalty. Could it be that everyone in this company is an idiot? President Wang only took Jiang Lu and left the classroom directly with his assistant, without even looking at the other students. After he left, he immediately made a phone call, his tone respectful. President Wang, the matter you asked me to take care of has been taken care of. Very good. After he hung up, Wen Ning continued to hold Nuonuo and play with her, pinching her little face and little hands. The baby was soft and squishy everywhere, and it was very easy to pinch. In the end, President Wu chose Jiang Hui, along with 2 other male classmates, Zhou Qingyang and Song Chao. Tian Chang was unsurprisingly not selected, and he slumped dejectedly over the table. Is it because I'm not good looking? None of these directors even looked at me. Chang, don't be disheartened, there'll be another time. Luor, you're too popular. You haven't even graduated yet, and you're getting 100,000 yuan a month. Don't forget to treat your buddies to dinner. Jiang Luo patted Tian Cheng on the arm and said, okay, when you get paid, you can pick the place, I'll treat you to dinner. You really are my good brother. Although Jianghe and Jianghu were selected, their salaries were very low, 8,000 for Jianghe and 6,000 for the other 2. Why is your salary so high? Jiang Luo was also baffled, I don't know either. President Wu also left with his people, and the people in the classroom gradually dispersed, some sighing with regret. Maybe next time. Jiang Hui said coldly, Jiang Luo, a big company like Xingchen Entertainment simply cannot promote a small newcomer like you. It's just going to use you to pick you against each other. Jiang Luo said, you don't need to worry about that, young Master Jiang. I'm not worried about you, I'm just afraid that you'll get screwed. After all, we were classmates, so I'm just giving you a friendly warning. After saying that, Jiang Hui left with a few of his buddies. John Luo's salary was more than 10 times higher than his, so what kind of shit luck did John Luo have? In the afternoon, John Lu was preparing to go back and tell Wen Ning the good news. As soon as he left the school gate, he saw a familiar figure. John Lu immediately took a few steps back and hid in the crowd. It was Gu Xinya. She's here again. Is this woman so idle? Blocking him in front of the school every day? Without hesitation, John Lu went to the side door on the other side and secretly drove away. Gu Xinya was still waiting coyly at the entrance for John Luo. Today she had deliberately worn a slim-fitting black dress, with delicate makeup and a diamond necklace around her neck. She had dressed up all day in order to have dinner with John Luo. John Luo, on the other hand, was already on his way home. He felt as if he had forgotten something. What was it? John Luo suddenly remembered that he had promised Wen Ning a present yesterday. What did the female devil like? She definitely didn't like the usual girly things. John Luo didn't know what to get her either, so he stopped at the central shopping mall and went inside to look around. After walking around for a while, he didn't see anything that looked like a good gift. Suddenly, he was attracted to a piece of clothing. It was a black, tight-fitting leather pajama with ears on the tail. It was so cool, Wen Ning would definitely like it. John Luo bought the pajamas with a face full of innocence. When he paid, several waitresses looked at him with smiling faces. John Luo looked puzzled. Why were they looking at him like that? What had he done? He just bought a pair of pajamas. It's so small, and he's just starting college, but he's already playing around so much? Kids these days are all playing around. The young ladies exchanged glances. When he got home, John Lu couldn't wait to give Wen Ning the gift. Wen Ning was working at the computer, and when she heard the noise, she looked up. There was a smile at the corner of her cold eyes. You bought me a present? Well, I promised you I'd buy you a present, so let's see if you like it. After he said that, John Lu went to hug his obedient daughter. He hadn't seen his little treasure all day and missed her dearly. He kissed his baby's rosy little face. My darling, Daddy's home. It's Daddy, he said in his soft, mellow voice. He held out his two little paws to grab Daddy's face. John Luo put the baby's little hands on his face, beaming with love. My darling, do you know Daddy? Nua Nua knows that it's Daddy coming home. Why aren't you sleeping? You're so full of energy. John Luo gently touched the baby's little nose, and the little one laughed again. Wow. You were waiting for Daddy to come home, you're so good. John Luo kissed the baby's face and held his good girl, not willing to let go at all. A smile curved the corner of Wen Ning's mouth as she gently opened the bow on the box. John Luo, what present did you buy me? So mysterious. You take a look yourself. Wen Ning opened the box, and inside it seemed to be a piece of clothing. No, it was leather clothing, with rabbit ears and a tail. Wen Ning suddenly thought of something, raised the corners of her eyes, and smiled charmingly. John Luo, I can't tell, at such a young age, you actually like this. Usually, you seem like a pretty serious boy, but I didn't expect you to like this kind of cosplay suit. Chapter 83 What if he really is tempted? John Luo, holding the baby, turned his head and asked innocently, What do you like? Wen Ning raised an eyebrow. You like this? Don't tell me you don't know what this is. John Luo's simple face, it's just a shirt. I thought you would like this kind of cool shirt, so I bought you a set. If you don't like it, you won't wear it. Wen Ning's expression was a little hard to describe, and she slowly approached John Lu, cupping his face in both hands. So, John Lu, you really don't know what this is? John Lu nodded honestly. I know, it's a pajama, there's a tag on it, but when I bought the clothes, those people looked at me strangely. Wen Ning laughed softly, pinched Jiang Lu's face, and then asked, Do you know what this garment is for? John Luo hesitated for a moment and said, Pajamas, worn while sleeping, but there are also a tail and ears, which is quite strange indeed. Who wears ears and a tail while sleeping? Wen Ning had never met such a simple boy before, and she didn't want to corrupt him. He was too simple to be a boyfriend, so she would teach him properly. Wen Ning stood on tiptoe and whispered in John Luo's ear, This is actually not just pajamas. What is it? Wen Ning continued to whisper in John Luo's ear, This is for use in bed. I'll tell you how to use it. After hearing this, John Luo froze, hugging his daughter and standing still with a stiff body. So that's how this thing is used. He thought it was pajamas to wear when sleeping. John Luo blushed and explained, I really don't know. He really didn't know that this clothing is worn when doing that. Could Wen Ning have misunderstood? Wen Ning raised her beautiful fox eyes. I really like the clothes, why don't we try them on tonight? Jiang Luo stammered, try them on? Wen Ning deliberately leaned in towards Jiang Luo and said, well, let's try them on. You like this outfit, don't you? I'll put it on for you to see. Jiang Luo's heart was pounding with excitement, but she still refused. No, you haven't recovered yet, you should get a good night's rest. In fact, his mind was already imagining how attractive Wen Ning would look in this dress. He really wanted to see her wear this cosplay outfit. With pale fingers, he gently stroked Jiang Luo's face, and Wen Ning said seductively, really? Don't you want to see me wear it? No, you should get a good night's rest. Jiang Luo continued to feed the little baby. The little one was probably very hungry, as his mouth moved constantly, trying to drink his mother's milk, while one little paw was grasping at his father's clothes. After drinking his fill, he vomited all over himself. Jiang Luo used a soft tissue to wipe the baby's face. Nuonia, you vomited everywhere, you little rascal. Nuonia stuck out his tongue and laughed with his little mouth open. His big, dark eyes were round and looked at his father as he laughed. Jiang Luo played with Nuonia and forgot all about the other baby. The poor little dolphin was still waiting for his father. Wow! The baby squealed with his little hands, but unfortunately his father couldn't hear him at all. The little one continued to squeal with his arms and legs in the air. In the end, the postpartum nanny picked up the baby and fed him. Mr. Jiang, didn't you forget that you still have another baby? Jiang Luo then saw the little dolphin and almost forgot that he also had a son. But his son, Pai, didn't need him to coax him. Jiang Luo continued to coax the little one in his arms, making the little one laugh with glee. In another 4 or 5 months, Nuonia will have teeth and be able to eat solid food. Jiang Luo kissed the baby's pink, tender little face and said that Nuonia will grow up to be tall. Ah! The baby made a milk-drinking sound and grabbed his father's face with his 2 little hands. Jiang Luo stroked Nuonia's little hands, which were tiny, with even tinier fingers, like a little action figure. It simply melted Jiang Luo's heart. Wen Ning crossed her arms and sat on the sofa, staring at Jiang Luo. Jiang Luo, ever since you got back, you've been hugging Nunu. Jiang Luo was puzzled, huh? What's wrong? Wen Ning's face was gloomy. You have a daughter, haven't you forgotten about me? No, I didn't bring you a gift, I just want to hug Nunu. Jiang Luo pressed his face against his daughter's little face. Nunu is so cute, I wouldn't mind hugging her all day. Wen Ning's gloomy voice, put down Nuonia and come over to me. Jiang Luo didn't know what this female devil was up to, and didn't dare disobey her, so she put Nuonia in the crib. Sitting next to Wen Ning, she took her hand. Are you angry? Let me hug you. Jiang Luo opened her arms and hugged Wen Ning, who had suddenly become gentle after her gloomy expression earlier. Wen Ning looked up and asked, did anything important happen at school today? Jiang Luo said excitedly, I signed with a company today, and I will get paid 100,000 yuan a month. I heard that there is also an endorsement fee, so I can support my baby and buy formula for him in the future. Wen Ning raised her eyebrows, that's great. I don't know why I was chosen, and they offered me such a high salary. I will definitely work hard in the future. Wen Ning said seriously, maybe you were just lucky, so you were chosen. Jiang Luo nodded thoughtfully. I used to think that I was unlucky, but after meeting you, my luck has been getting better and better. Wen Ning, you are truly my lucky star. Jiang Luo placed a kiss on Wen Ning's forehead. After the kiss, he realized that there were many other maids and servants nearby, and even when Wan had returned and happened to see this scene. Jiang Luo's face turned red, and he felt like smoke was rising from his head. What did he just do? He had kissed the female devil, and in front of so many people? When Wan covered her eyes and continued walking, sister, I didn't see anything, you guys continue, go ahead, I just want to look at Nuonia and the little dolphin. Jiang Lu felt his face turn even redder. Wen Ning didn't care, and in a good mood, she raised the corners of her lips and asked, you kissed, so what? I'm fine. Let's eat. Jiang Luo dragged Wen Ning to dinner and gobbled up the food, nearly choking himself. Why did he just give in and kiss this female devil? Jiang Luo glanced at Wen Ning secretly. His exquisite and aloof face had an air of noble and aloofness about it, as if he were a superior being looking down on everyone else, yet he was attentive to every detail. What if he really did give in? Chapter 84 Wife asking for help. Jiang Luo, help me quickly. Wen Ning continued to help Jiang Luo pick food, patted his arm, and wondered what was wrong. Is it that the food doesn't suit your palate? Maybe I'll have the kitchen change the flavor tomorrow. No need, it suits my palate very well. Jiang Luo came back to his senses, ate a piece of yellow beef, and absent-mindedly drank kanji. Could it be that he really has feelings for the sickly and spoiled female devil? But Wen Ning is the president of the Wenshi group, and she is not from the same world as him. She might just kick him out one day when she's had enough. He still has to raise a baby, so for now, he should just work hard to earn money. This time, Jiang Lu even went so far as to peel a hairy crab for Wen Ning and put the crab roe in her bowl. You should eat more too. I can see that you've lost even more weight after giving birth. Apart from the soft mound in her chest, which has become even bigger and is almost bursting out of her clothes. Jiang Luo silently averted his gaze and asked in a low voice, "Are you swollen?" He had read that women would swell after giving birth. Wen Ning raised the corners of her cold eyes and said, "Yes, what? Are you going to help me?" "I can do it. If you're in pain, just ask me, I can help you." Jiang Luo stammered in his reply, almost biting his tongue. Was he being too aggressive? He really just wanted to eat or help Wen Ning. Wen Ning's lips parted slightly. "You really can help me?" "Really, after all, no one else can help you but me. Nuozi and Little Dolphin drink formula milk and don't need you. Okay, tonight, you help me, I'm in so much pain." Wen Ning pressed her face against Jiang Luo's arm and rubbed it gently. Yesterday, her clothes were soaked through. Jiang Luo looked at Wen Ning's chest and was a bit. Really that impressive? Sister, you two are showing off your affection too much, even at the dinner table. When Wen finished looking after the baby and sat down to eat, Jiang Luo pushed Wen Ning away and said, "Eat your food, I'll help you later." "Help me? What did I do?" Jiang Luo said anxiously, "Nothing, just a little thing." "You eat first." When Wen let out a sound and continued eating. "Sister, it's been almost a month since Xiao Nuonuo and Xiao Haidong were born, and you still haven't picked a name for them?" "No, Jiang Luo said he would pick the names." "Jiang Luo, what have you thought of the baby's name?" Jiang Luo stopped what he was doing and said, "I've almost picked a name. Just give me 2 more days." "Okay, no rush, take your time." When Ning continued eating, Jiang Luo had peeled the vegetables for her, so she didn't want to waste them. After dinner, when Jiang Luo went to see Nuonuo again, the little one was already asleep. "Why is Nuozi sleeping again?" A postpartum care worker replied, "Mr. Jiang, Nuozi is still young, and she sleeps most of the day. When she grows up a bit, she won't sleep for so long." Jiang Lu poked the baby's little face and said, "Good baby, you sleep, see you tomorrow." Nuozi and Shohire were taken care of by the postpartum care worker at night. At night, they had to feed milk powder, change diapers, and do many other things. When Ning's body has not yet recovered, and she needs to rest well. Jiang Luo is also a university student, and has to go to class in the morning, so she can only entrust the care of the 2 babies to someone else. At this time, the phone vibrated. Jiang Luo took out her phone, and it was a message from Gu Xinya. "Jiang Luo, where are you? I've been waiting for you at the school gate for a long time, why haven't you come out yet? By the way, I've also sent a crying emoticon." Jiang Lu replied, "Miss Gu, I'm already back. Are you still waiting for me?" "Don't wait anymore, my girlfriend and I just finished eating." "You ate with your girlfriend? I've been waiting for you for so long, and you didn't even eat with me. Break up with your girlfriend. How about I support you with 5 million yuan a year? All you have to do is spend time with me every day, and you don't have to do anything else." If this were someone else, they would have agreed right away, but Jiang Lu is a man of principle. He immediately rejected Miss Gu. "Thank you for your kindness, Miss Gu. My girlfriend and I have a very good relationship. I like her very much, and I will not break up with her for money. You'd better find someone else. There are many more handsome guys in the world than me." "You actually disagreed, Jiang Luo. You really have principles. I like people like you. When you break up, you come to me." Jiang Luo was speechless for a while. He actually hoped that someone else would break up? When Ning suddenly asked, "Who are you chatting with? Have you been chatting for so long?" Jiang Luo guiltily put the phone behind his back. "It's just a classmate." "Classmate?" When Ning took Jiang Luo's phone and said, "Let me see." Zhang Luo immediately explained, "It's Gu Xinya. This afternoon after school, she was waiting for me at the door. I came out through the side door, and she kept waiting for me." Wen Ning glanced at the chat history, and a faint smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. She returned the phone to Zhang Luo. "You wouldn't break up with me for money? You really like me?" Wen Ning slowly leaned in. Zhang Luo's body kept backing up, his face flushing. "He was just saying it, just saying it. I was just talking nonsense." Wen Ning lifted Zhang Luo's chin and looked him in the eye, asking seriously, "Zhang Luo, do you like me?" I couldn't answer. The question of whether or not I liked Wen Ning would have to be answered by time. Wen Ning stroked Zhang Luo's hand and said softly, "I won't push you anymore. I'll go look at the last contract first, so you wait for me obediently in your room." "Okay." Zhang Luo went back to his room and waited for Wen Ning to come and tell him to go to bed with her, but he didn't wait long. The female devil had already fallen asleep that night. Zhang Luo walked over to Wen Ning's room and knocked on the door. "Wen Ning, are you in there? Come in." A faint voice rang out, clear and pleasant like a young lady's voice. Zhang Luo opened the door and entered the room. There was a faint fragrance in the room. Zhang Luo walked closer again, and Wen Ning suddenly appeared behind him. "You took the initiative to come to me tonight? I wanted to see if you were asleep." Zhang Luo turned back and saw the scene in front of him. His nose almost bled. Wen Ning was wearing the cosplay suit he bought. The fabric was very thin, barely covering the mound in front of her chest. She had black ears on her head and a tail in the back. Zhang Lu immediately felt something, and immediately looked away, his Adam's apple rolling slightly. "Wen Ning, why are you wearing this?" "Of course I have to wear it if you bought it for me, don't you like it?" Her pale fingers slowly slid over Zhang Lu's Adam's apple, and he grew again. Her Zhang Lu grew again. It was the first time she had seen Wen Ning wear this kind of clothing, and it was simply sexy as hell, growing in every way that mattered to his aesthetic sense. Zhang Luo was so aroused that his mouth was dry, and he grabbed Wen Ning's slender wrist. "Wen Ning, stop it, I'm here to help you tonight." Wen Ning fell into Zhang Luo's arms, her soft body pressed against his chest. Zhang Luo took the person into his arms, afraid that she would fall. "Help me? Okay, then you help me tonight." Wen Ning took Zhang Luo's hand and placed it on her chest. "Zhang Luo, is it getting bigger? I can help my wife." Chapter 85 of Full Zhang Luo. Then, Zhang Luo really helped Wen Ning all night. When he woke up the next day, he was full. He ate to his heart's content. And even ate the sticky rice that Wen Ning didn't want. An ear fell to the ground, and even his tail fell to the ground. Wen Ning's delicate body was pressed against his, and her two hands were around his neck. Zhang Luo thought of the scenes from yesterday and suddenly blushed. Wen Ning, this female devil, has corrupted him again. So this is how the rabbit suit is worn. Zhang Luo blushed and took Wen Ning's hands away. Wen Ning continued to cling to him. "Zhang Luo, don't go, give it to me. I'm out of it, I have to go to class. After being tossed around by Wen Ning all night, I'm completely out of it. When I got up, I almost fainted. This woman, she has such good stamina." Zhang Lu looked at the woman in his arms. Her face was cold and expressionless, but she was actually a demon who would cling to him every night. Zhang Lu angrily reached out and pinched her face as if she were a villain. "Wen Ning, let go of me, I have to go to class." "No, you are mine, mine." Wen Ning's possessiveness exploded, and she held Zhang Lu tightly, refusing to let go, pressing him down and kissing him. "Good boy Zhang Lu, will you sleep with me?" A barrage of kisses landed on his face. Zhang Luo said helplessly, "Wen Ning, I'll come back to keep you company tonight. I have to go to class, and I have an elective class in the morning." Wen Ning kissed for a long time, and finally let him go. Leaning lazily against the bed with one hand propped on his forehead, he raised the corners of his eyes seductively. "Go ahead, come back early tonight. Such a beautiful wife is waiting for you at home." Zhang Lu swallowed, almost biting his tongue, and blushed as he replied, "Got it." After that, he grabbed his clothes and fled. Wen Ning looked at her chest. It finally stopped growing. Her little boyfriend is still somewhat useful. Zhang Lu changed his clothes, washed up, and hurried downstairs. The kitchen was already ready to eat. Wen Ning had commanded that Zhang Lu be served breakfast every day on time. Unfortunately, Jiang Lu wasn't hungry this morning. He had already eaten enough. Although the taste was really not good. Wow! A cry came from Nuonuo, and Jiang Lu immediately quickened his pace. The postpartum nanny was feeding Nuonuo from a bottle, but unfortunately the baby wouldn't drink, and kept crying and throwing up. Ah! Nuonuo was crying with tears in her eyes, and her two little paws were clawing at the bottle while she cried. Jiang Lu felt heartbroken as he watched, and immediately asked, "What's wrong with Nuonuo? Why is she crying all the time?" Nuonuo was probably just having a temper tantrum and refusing to drink milk. All babies do that, it's okay, just coax her for a while. The nanny continued to hold Tuan Tuan and coax her, but no matter what she did, the baby just kept crying. Jiang Lu couldn't help but say, "Why don't I hold her and coax her?" Okay. Jiang Lu took over Nuonuo, who was wearing a soft little outfit, waving her two little paws and crying with her mouth wide open. Jiang Luo kisses the baby's little face. "Sweetheart, why are you crying? Daddy's here, don't cry." Wow! The baby slowly stops crying, and with both little hands grabs Daddy's face, pouting with a small mouth. "Baby, don't cry, what's wrong? Tell Daddy what's wrong. Is something hurting?" Jiang Luo gently taps the baby's little face, telling Daddy, "Good boy." Wow! Nuo stretches out a fluffy paw, looking for something. Jiang Luo picks up a bunny from the cot and holds it in front of Nuo's face. "Sweetheart, are you looking for this? Daddy bought you a bunny." Wow! The baby finally stops crying, opens her big mouth and smiles, clutching the bunny with both little hands. So it was looking for this bunny. Jiang Luo breathes a sigh of relief and picks up the baby bottle to feed the baby. "Be a good girl and drink your milk." Nuonia turns her head to the other side and refuses to drink. "Be a good girl and drink your milk, so you can grow tall." Jiang Luo coaxes little Nuonia to drink milk, and casually glances at the little dolphin next to her. This little guy is the easiest to take care of. The nanny held him while he finished nursing and drank half a bottle. "Nuonia, your brother drank half a bottle of milk, so you should drink more too." Nuonu began to spit up again. She had only drunk 2 sips. The baby was almost a month old, but she was still very small and much smaller than her brother. "Nuanu, you're a good baby. Drink some more. Daddy will feed you." Jiang Luo continued to coax Nuanu to drink milk. The novice father carefully fed the baby, afraid that she would choke. This little missy is the most difficult baby they have ever had. She spits up a lot and cries a lot. Jiang Luo continues to hold her and feed her from the bottle. The little one has big, round eyes and is looking at her father, while her little hand is grasping a rabbit toy. After feeding her, Jiang Luo puts the baby on the bed. The little one grabs one of her father's fingers, not letting him go. "Good girl, I'll be back this afternoon." Jiang Luo takes away the little hands of his baby, and just as he stands up, the little milk ball and little mouth move, and he wants to cry again. "Young Master Jiang, would you like some breakfast? It's almost 9 o'clock. "No, I've already eaten. I ate Weining's rice." Jiang Luo picks up Nuonia and continues to comfort her, afraid that she will cry again, and keeps her company until she falls asleep. He gently laid Nuonia on the bed and covered her up. The little one fell asleep with her eyelashes fluttering. She had delicate features, and when she grew up, she would definitely be a pretty little girl. His daughter would definitely be very pretty. "Mr. Jiang, you are really resourceful." Miss Nuonia was actually a crybaby, except when she sees you, she doesn't cry. When she cries, you can give her this bunny. Okay. The gate of the Imperial University. Jiang Luo just stopped the car, and once again, he was blocked by Gu Xinya. "Jiang Luo, I've brought you breakfast. You're here so early, so you must not have eaten breakfast yet. This is Chinese food I bought for you. There are crystal shrimp buns inside, which are not bad." "Thank you, Miss Gu, I really have eaten." Jiang Luo locked the car and turned away. If you don't like someone, don't give them any hope. Gu Xinya stood alone, holding the things in her hands, like an abandoned person. She had just changed into a new outfit, but Jiang Luo didn't even look at her. Optional class. It was a lecture by a female finance professor. Jiang Luo sat in the back with his notebook, surrounded by Tian Cheng and Meng Zhou, who were fast asleep. Jiang Luo, on the other hand, was racking his brains trying to think of a name for the baby. After thinking for so long, he still hadn't come up with a particularly good one. Could someone help him? Jiang Yulua? Jiang Luaning? Jiang Yudi. Jiang Luo's notebook was full of a row of names, and he still hadn't chosen a nice one. The name of his daughter must be the best. Chapter 86. Chasing to school, he gave Jiang Luo something to eat. Luor, what are you doing? Writing and drawing. You've written so many names, what are you doing? Jiang Luo seriously said, nonsense. Changge, the daughter of my relative's family, asked me to name her. Which of these names is better? Help me out. Tian Chang glanced at the names Jiang Luo had written down. I feel that they are all nice. Why don't you decide for yourself? I can't pick either. Jiang Yuhan, Yu Luo is also good, and Ningwei is also fine. Jiang Luo was a little distressed. Why could only one name be chosen? You are just too fussy. Just choose one with your eyes closed. Jiang Luo made the final decision and said, Jiang Yuhan. Tian Cheng asked, you gave the best name to someone else's baby, what name will you use for your own baby in the future? Jiang Luo coughed a few times and said, it doesn't matter. It's just a name for his baby anyway. As for the little dolphin, he had already thought of a name a long time ago, Wen Shinza. Jiang Lu sent Wen Ning the names he had picked out. Wen Ning, I've already thought of a name, Jiang Yuhan for the little glutinous rice dumpling and Wen Shinza for the little dolphin. Future wife, you decide, and the little dolphin can also have the surname Jiang. No, it's better to follow your surname. Future wife, Wen? I don't want him to have the surname Wen. Okay, you decide. Jiang Luo didn't like the surname Wen because he didn't think Wen Ning had a good relationship with the Wen family. As for the note about his future wife, Wen Ning had changed it himself. He had originally written female devil as the note, but then he had been given a good lesson. Future wife, Jiang Luo, come back early, I'll be waiting up for you tonight. Jiang Luo's ears turned red, got it, you've grown again? Future wife, yeah, it's so uncomfortable. Jiang Luo swallowed, I'll be back when I can. Then he may not need to eat in the future. Breastfeed every day? Suddenly, the female professor on the podium looked up. Did you all listen clearly to the theoretical knowledge I just taught? Next, I will ask someone to answer, the student in the corner of the penultimate row. Tian Chang nudged Jiang Luo with his elbow, Luo, roll call, it's your turn, hurry up and stand up. Jiang Luo stood up, and because he was so handsome, he instantly attracted the attention of many people. This student is so handsome, and he looks familiar. This is Jiang Lu, a freshman, and he's still the school's most popular guy. I heard that he's been signed by a big company, which is pretty impressive. The point is that he's just too handsome, just as they say, he really is the school's most popular guy. Does he have a girlfriend? I want to go after her. Forget it, she's someone else's girlfriend, even though I haven't seen her. The female professor on the stage asked, how much did you listen to about the basic knowledge of modern financial theory that I just talked about? Modern financial theory refers to. Jiang Lu recited it all at once, and it was even more than what the female professor had said. Everyone around was shocked, and even the female professor on the stage was stunned for a moment. Jiang Lu had already memorized the textbook for the financial elective course. You clearly weren't paying attention just now, how do you know so much? Jiang Lu politely said, I plan to apply for a double major in finance when I'm a sophomore, so I reviewed it in advance. The female professor's gaze changed as she looked at Jiang Luo, and she nodded with satisfaction, saying, you are a motivated student. You may sit down. After Jiang Luo sat down, Tian Chang almost dropped to his knees. My brother, you know too much. We took the elective course with you, and you know everything about relationships. Well, I've learned a bit. Tian Chang and Mang Zhou almost vomited blood. What was it like to have such a smart roommate? How could he have mastered even the elective course so well? Was he going to let him live? Jiang Luo is amazing. Jiang Huai leaned back and sneered, amazing what? It was just a fluke. Then. Jiang Huai was also called on, stood up, and stuttered and couldn't say a word. How could he possibly know anything about financial theory? He just followed Jiang Luo in signing up. I heard that young Master Jiang came in through the back door, it seems he donated a small stadium to the school. Really? He came in through the back door, no wonder he knows nothing. Jiang Huai's face was completely humiliated, and in the end, the female professor told him to sit down. Jiang Jia was so angry that he gritted his teeth. He wouldn't come back next time. What a useless elective course. The professor was obviously trying to make things difficult for him. After class, the female professor walked over to John Luo. You're applying for a double degree, I can help you with that. If you have any questions, you can come and ask me. Here's a copy of my old textbook, it's a gift. Thank you, teacher. You're welcome. John Luo left the elective classroom, followed by a bunch of young ladies from other departments, looking for his contact information. John Luo took no chances and secretly slipped his phone to Tian Chang, who was standing nearby. Sorry, everyone, I didn't bring my phone today, so maybe some other time. The crowd dispersed with regret. Tian Chang returned the phone to John Luo, jealous to death. You're so popular, everywhere you go there's a bunch of girls around you asking for your contact information, when will it be my turn? Chang, you just need to work out and get a new haircut. Okay, I'll go to the school gym every night. Tian Chang is also doing everything he can to become more handsome. After Jiang Hui came out, he put his hands in his pockets and glanced at John Luo, only his face. Tian Chang said sarcastically, but that is still not as good as young Master Jiang. I heard that he came to Daida by relying on his family's money, unlike the poor people like us, who all got in through the entrance exam. Jiang Hui's face turned green with anger, pointing at Tian Chang, what's wrong with me? Can't I tell the truth? Jiang Hui clenched his teeth and left with his friends. Luor, look at how angry he is. Do you have a grudge with him? Why does he keep picking on you? John Luo shook his head and said, I don't know. I didn't provoke him either. Let's go back. John Luo was about to go back to the dormitory when he suddenly received a message on his phone from his future wife. John Luo, come out. Ah. I still have 2 classes this afternoon. Future wife, I mean it, I'm at the school gate. Are you done with school? I'm here to bring you lunch. You haven't recovered yet, and you're here to bring me lunch? John Lu was speechless. How much does Wen Ning love him? She even comes to bring him lunch at noon. Well, the school lunch is not nutritious, come out quickly. Okay, just give me a few minutes. John Lu stopped in his tracks. Chenggu and Mango, my girlfriend is here to bring me lunch, I'll go out first, you guys go to the cafeteria and eat. Fuck. Even the dog food has come to school, okay? You hurry up and go, don't worry about us. Yes, don't let your girlfriend wait, go quickly. John Lu quickened his pace, exited the school gate, turned a corner, and a familiar car was parked on the side of the road. John Luo opened the car door and got in. Wen Ning threw herself into his arms, breathing heavily. John Luo, I'm sorry, can you help me again? Chapter 87 John Luo, I need a sweet relationship. John Luo caught Wen Ning and stuttered, stop it, we're still in the car, I'll help you when we get home tonight, okay? Sure enough, Wen Ning wasn't here to bring him dinner, this woman, she just lies to him. It's hard, my clothes are wet, John Luo, do you want to see how hard I am? Wen Ning hugged John Luo's neck and gently rubbed his face. John Luo. Such a cold and beautiful woman is by his side, and she is still his future wife. The black slim-fit dress shows off her breasts. John Luo feels like acting stupidly. Wen Ning, you hold on for now, I'll help you tonight, okay? Good boy John Luo, hurry up, I can't wait until tonight. Wen Ning puts John Luo's hand on her waist and unzips her. Wen Ning, no, really, I can't. Wen Ning took John Luo's hand and unzipped her own dress, then hooked her chin and said, you're not being good. You're still letting me do the work. I've come to bring you lunch. Are you going to eat it or not? The long black skirt was lifted, revealing milky white skin. Her legs were thin and long, and her waist was so small that it was hard to hold. Further up, there was a mound of white flesh. John Luo swallowed, where's my lunch? Aren't you bringing me lunch? The driver in the car had already left a long time ago, and the windows were tightly closed, but from inside you could see everything outside, and some students were lingering at the entrance to the campus. John Luoguang felt excited just thinking about it. He was almost driven crazy by Wen Ning, so he had to finish quickly. After about 20 minutes, John Luoguang finally finished eating and guiltily wiped his mouth. Then, he lovingly helped Wen Ning get dressed. But he couldn't button the back of her shirt, and after a long time he still couldn't get it done. Wen Ning, your buttons are too difficult to fasten, I can't do it. Wen Ning laughed softly, and with both hands behind her back, she fastened her underwear. John Lu stammered, are you sure you've eaten enough this time? I'm done, do you want lunch? I have another lunch here. John Lu shook his head repeatedly, he really had eaten enough. When Ning pointed to the thermos next to her, the kitchen prepared this for you, it's full of your favorite dishes, I can see that you've lost weight recently. John Lu took the lunchbox and was about to leave. If he stayed, he didn't know what the female demon would do to him. When Ning, I'll go first, you go home early and rest too. Your body hasn't recovered yet, running around like this. Wait, your clothes aren't even tidied up, and if you go out like that, everyone will know what you did in the car. When Ning tidied Jiang Lu's collar, and Jiang Lu's ears turned red as he retorted, don't talk nonsense, I didn't do anything, I was just helping you out. Yes, you didn't do anything. When Ning stroked Jiang Luo's handsome face and said, go ahead, but don't forget to eat lunch later. I heard from the kitchen that you didn't have breakfast this morning, not even porridge. I'm full, I don't want any, Jiang Luo muttered. When Ning raised the corners of her eyes and asked, full? Did you eat that much? Jiang Luo blushed when he was asked this, glanced at Wen Ning's chest, looked away immediately, and muttered, yes, I'm full. So much, I'm going to burst. Wen Ning said, okay, then have some more kanji tonight. Hurry up and go to school, don't delay your nap. Jiang Luo got out of the car with the cooler, quickened her pace, and left, afraid that someone would find out, so guilty that she couldn't help it. However, she was still seen by Jiang Huai, who had just returned from eating, and he took a picture. Jiang Huai had a look of smugness in his eyes. Jiang Luo, you really are being supported by an older woman. Get off the luxury car and see how you still argue back. Jiang Luo placed a huge cooler on the table, opened it, and there were several layers inside, with 8 dishes. Tian Chang and Mang Zhou were stunned by the sight, and they even dropped their chopsticks. They suddenly felt that the rice in their bowls didn't taste good. My God! Luor, you've got too much food here. Is this what your girlfriend sends you for dinner? She really is a rich woman, and she eats different food from us. This is really rich, how much did this meal cost? And there's seafood and crabs. Jiang Luo had just finished eating and didn't have much of an appetite for any of this. Chengge, Mengge, you guys come and eat too, I'm not really hungry. Tian Cheng asked, you're not hungry? What did you eat at lunch? Thinking back to the scenes in the car just now, Jiang Luo was so nervous that she almost bit her tongue. I haven't eaten yet, I haven't had an appetite lately, you guys eat. He ate all of Nuon Yuo and Xiaohai's rations. Luor, are you sick? You didn't eat anything at lunch. Sit down and eat with us. There's so much, we won't be able to finish it all. After Jiang Luo sat down, he took a few simple bites of the still warm food. Well, your girlfriend is really considerate, bringing you lunch that's still warm. Tian Cheng's envious tears welled up in his eyes. Well, my girlfriend does care about me. The corner of Jiang Luo's mouth unconsciously curled up, his appetite whetted, and he continued eating. This female devil is actually quite nice, afraid that he will get hungry. Tomorrow is the weekend, Luor, are you going to go with your girlfriend again? Mang and I are going to spend it in the internet cafe. Jiang Luo nodded, well, my girlfriend said to go shopping with her. Mang also broke up, like us single guys, we can only go to the internet cafe to hang out. Jiang Luo drew the corners of his mouth, isn't your girlfriend treating you pretty well? She even brings you lunch. Tian Chang shrugged his shoulders, I just don't like her anymore. I really liked her at the beginning of the semester, but then I lost my feelings for her, so we broke up. Mang Zhou nodded repeatedly, me too, I lost my feelings. Okay. His roommate had already broken up after a relationship, and he still hadn't had a sweet relationship. He was forced to love his stunning wife every day, and he really wanted a sweet relationship. Then, Jiang Luo posted a friend circle. I really want a sweet relationship, /crying. Tian Chang, not sweet enough? Your girlfriend brings you lunch every day? Gu Xinya, I can do it, Jiang Luo, just look at me. Wan, what are you doing? Isn't my sister sweet enough? Jiang Luo, do you want to fall in love? I do too. When Ning looked at Jiang Luo's friends list and fell into deep thought. A sweet relationship. A boy Jiang Luo's age should like a sweet relationship. Forget it, just accompany him. When Ning, okay, I'll give you a sweet relationship tomorrow. Jiang Luo saw the comment Wen Ning sent and almost dropped the chopsticks in his hand. What did Wen Ning mean by that? A sweet relationship? Wen Ning? That female devil is not sweet at all. Chapter 88 Boss Wen, a sweet relationship for Jiang Luo. The next day. Weekend. Wen Ning got up early in the morning to go to the cloakroom to change. Today, she has a date with Jiang Luo, and she must give Jiang Luo a sweet date. Jiang Luo got up early, finished washing up, and went to see her daughter. My sweet baby, it's the weekend, and Daddy can spend the whole day with you. Are you happy? Smile for Daddy. Wow! A mellow voice rings out. The baby stretches out a little paw to grab Daddy, and Jiang Luo holds the little paw in his hand and places it on his face. Nua Nua, Daddy has given you a name, Jiang Yuhan. Does it sound nice? Jiang Luo kisses the baby's rosy little face. Tell Daddy, does it sound nice? Do you like it? Ah. Nua Nua opens her little mouth, not sure what to say to Daddy, and then she smiles again. Wow. My dear baby, do you like the name I gave you very much, and do you want a hug from Daddy? Jiang Luo carefully picked up the little bundle of joy. The baby was wearing a fluffy little outfit, a little hat on his head, and wrapped in a little pink blanket. After all, it was only the beginning of May, and the weather was still a little cool. Ah! Nuonio was happy to be in his father's arms, smiling and cooing, his little paws grasping at his father's clothes. Good boy, are you hungry? Jiang Luo turned his head and asked, sisterly, has Tuan Tuan been fed in the morning? Mr. Jiang, he has already been fed, and will be fed again in an hour. Okay. Jiang Luo held the baby and walked back and forth in the living room, making the little guy coo. Wen Ning stepped down the stairs in high heels. Today she was wearing a refreshing smoky gray dress, with a slim fit that highlighted her unassumingly small waist. Her hair is big and smooth, her skin is fair, her features are delicate and cold, and she has delicate makeup with upturned eyes. Her beauty is extremely aggressive and unforgettable. This is the first time Jiang Luo has seen Wen Ning wear a dress of this color, and she feels less cold and more pure. Stunned? Wen Ning walks over to Jiang Luo in her high heels and gently strokes his Adam's apple with her pale, jade-like fingers. Jiang Luo's face flushed again and his heart pounded. Uncomfortably, he asked, Wen Ning, why did you change your clothes today? Of course I want to go on a date with you. You posted on your moments yesterday that you wanted to fall in sweet love, and I already agreed to that. Jiang Luo hung his head and muttered, do you still remember? I was just talking nonsense. Wen Ning actually took it seriously and even changed his clothes. He really liked this color of clothes. Wen Ning curled her red lips and of course remembered. I'll accompany you on your date today. Put down Nuonio and let's go out to dinner and enjoy some time for two. Jiang Luo hugged the baby in his arms. I still want to spend more time with Nuonio and the little dolphin. Jiang Luo is a slave to his daughter. When he sees her, he can't walk, he just wants to watch his obedient daughter grow up and call him dad. Wen Ning narrowed her eyes slightly. Didn't you say you wanted a sweet relationship? Put down the baby and go on a date with me. Wen Ning took the little girl from Jiang Luo's arms and poked her little face. Nuonio, you stay at home obediently. Daddy and Mommy are going on a date. Don't cry. Ah. The little milk ball opened her mouth in protest, still wanting a hug from her father. She poked out her little claws and continued to look for her father. Wow. Wen Ning put the little one in the crib, let the nanny watch her, and took Jiang Luo's hand and left the living room. The little one was still looking for her father. Wen Ning, the baby is going to cry soon. Don't worry, she won't start because the nanny is watching her. Wen Ning gets into the car with Jiang Luo, sits in the driver's seat, then suddenly stands up, opens the door and switches places with Jiang Luo. Jiang Luo, you drive. Me? Haven't you always driven? Jiang Luo asks, puzzled. Wen Ning pushes Jiang Luo into the driver's seat. Of course you drive, you're taking me on a date, I'm your girlfriend. Fine. Jiang Luo fastened his seatbelt and was about to set off when Wen Ning suddenly grabbed his arm. Jiang Luo, help me fasten my seatbelt. Jiang Luo. Is Wen Ning on something today? Why is her voice a little hoarse? Without asking any more questions, Jiang Luo fastened her seatbelt for her. Wen Ning kissed him on the side of the face in a flirtatious tone, thank you, honey. Dragging out the long tail tone, she made Jiang Luo feel all shy. Something is wrong with this woman today. Has she taken the wrong medicine? Jiang Luo seriously lifted his hand and touched Wen Ning's forehead. The temperature is not high. No fever. Wen Ning took Jiang Luo's hand away. Jiang Luo, what are you doing? Wen Ning, are you getting a cold? Wen Ning shook her head. No, I'm fine, just drive. Today we'll go to the Sky restaurant for dinner first. I booked a couple suite. Okay. This was supposed to be their second official date, the first being when Wen Ning accompanied him to the shooting range. At the time, he wanted to make this female devil back off, but who knew she would actually like him so much that she refused to let go. Jiang Luo was holding the steering wheel seriously, and Wen Ning was looking at him from the side, supporting her chin as she watched him, and kept watching him. Jiang Luo's ears turned red at the sight of her. Was he that good looking? Keep looking? Wen Ning, why are you looking at me all the time? Wen Ning replied decisively, you look good, and I liked you from the first moment I saw you. At that time, she wanted to get him, but Jiang Luo was too young, so she waited. After waiting for another 2 years, Jiang Luo was flustered and blushed, and whispered, Wen Ning, you don't talk nonsense, look at the scenery outside, don't look at me. Okay. Wen Ning turned her head to look at the scenery and continued to look at Jiang Luo. Jiang Luo twitched the corners of his mouth. Speechless. Well, since Wen Ning likes him so much, let her look. It won't hurt anything. After getting off the car, Wen Ning snuggled up to Jiang Luo's arm. Even though she was wearing high heels, she was still shorter than Jiang Luo. Jiang Luo was very tall and had a good figure, just like a young male model in a modeling book. After Wen Ning entered, 2 waiters respectfully showed her the way. Miss Wen, this way please, we have prepared your reserved room for you. HM. When she arrived at the room, there was a pink heart decoration hanging at the entrance. Jiang Lu felt that it was a bit over the top. Isn't this what little girls like? Does Wen Ning like it too? Opening the door, there were decorations everywhere, all kinds of ribbons, and the whole room was filled with pink bubbles. On the table in the middle was a sumptuous couple breakfast, and even the table was decorated with heart-shaped decorations. Wen Ning, you've gone all out. Wen Ning pulled Jiang Luo in. Don't you want a sweet relationship? Isn't it sweet enough? Chapter 89. He's standing up for Wen Ning. Sweet. So sweet. But he's a guy. A guy. Not a girl. He doesn't like this. Whose boyfriend likes a room full of pink bubbles? I prepared a special breakfast for us today. Do you like it? Wen Ning propped up her chin, looked across at Jiang Luo, and winked at him. Jiang Luo lowered his eyes, pursed his lips, and said, I like it. Wen Ning had prepared it for him, so how dare he not like it? If he didn't like it, the female devil would pounce on him in a minute. As long as he liked it, let's eat, I'll feed you. Wen Ning took the fork and cut a piece of the most delicious steak with her own hands. Jiang Luo, open your mouth. Jiang Luo looked at Wen Ning shyly and whispered, you don't need to feed me, I can eat by myself. Wen Ning was extremely overbearing, hurry up, open your mouth. Jiang Luo had no choice but to open his mouth and eat the piece of steak. In fact, the taste was just so, not as good as what was cooked at home. Was it delicious? Yes. Then Wen Ning continued to feed Jiang Luo. Wanting a sweet relationship is not that difficult, is it? Wen Ning asked again, after dinner, shall we go on a date? Shall we go to the amusement park? What do you like to do? The merry-go-round or the Ferris wheel? Jiang Luo drew back the corners of his mouth. He is a boy. A boy. What boy likes this? He likes the exciting ones, roller coasters, pirate ships, the more exciting the better. Wen Ning, I want to go on a roller coaster. Okay, let's go together. Open your mouth. Jiang Luo opened his mouth and continued eating. This was the first time he had been fed by someone else, and he suddenly felt quite good about it. This female demon was surprisingly gentle today. It felt like he had taken the wrong medicine. Today, he had a gentle girlfriend, hee. Drink the porridge. Jiang Luo was full and satisfied after being fed. Wen Ning, don't keep feeding me, you eat too. Wen Ning took a sip of porridge, it tasted pretty good, are you full? Yes. Wen Ning took Jiang Luo out and went to the biggest Disneyland. It was the weekend, and the place was bustling with people. There were lots of young couples on the street. Wen Ning and Jiang Luo were very good looking, and they attracted a lot of attention as soon as they got off the bus. Jiang Luo was a little socially anxious, and was embarrassed by all the attention, so he gently pulled Wen Ning's sleeve. Wen Ning, there are so many people here, why don't we go somewhere else? It's right here. I heard that this is the best place for couples to go on dates. Don't you want a sweet relationship? Wen Ning and Jian Luo went in together, occupying the latter's arm. The two of them looked surprisingly well matched as they walked together. Jian Luo, I want to eat ice cream. Wen Ning pointed to a stall not far away. Do you want some? I'll buy it for you. Jian Luo let go of Wen Ning's hand and said, Wait here, I'll go buy it. How could a boyfriend let his girlfriend buy him ice cream on a date? Wen Ning's voice was soft as she said, Okay, go buy it, I'll wait here for you. Jian Lu was melted by Wen Ning's coquettish voice. This woman was so cute, and her voice was so beautiful. Jian Lu felt light and fluttery. This was the first time he had heard Wen Ning coo at him. Buy it. I must buy it. Even if it's gold, I have to buy it for my wife. 2 ice cream cones, both matcha flavored. Jian Lu scanned the QR code and paid, then turned around with the ice cream cones. There were several handsome guys around Wen Ning, all of them around 20 years old and good-looking. Hey beautiful, you're here alone, add me on WeChat. Hey beautiful, why don't you go out with me, I'll take you out to dinner, you can pick the restaurant. Get lost, leave me alone. Wen Ning's cold expression didn't give any of the men present the time of day, and her aura was so intimidating that no one dared to approach her. Jian Lu's anger was rising rapidly, this was his girlfriend. His wife. Jian Lu clenched his fists, resisting the urge to hit someone, walked over to Wen Ning, pushed all the men aside, and took the person in his arms. Wen Ning, here's your ice cream, matcha flavor. Wen Ning's cold face finally revealed a smile, and she took the ice cream and took a bite. It's delicious. Jian Lu glanced at the people next to him who coveted his wife, and took a domineering hold of Wen Ning's hand. Let's go on the roller coaster. Okay. Wen Ning was led away by Jian Luo. The men next to them were dumbfounded. Wasn't she the cold and beautiful woman? Already has a boyfriend? He's quite handsome. Jian Luo turned his head and asked, Did those people just hit on you? Not really, I didn't even pay them any attention. As for what they said, I didn't hear it clearly either. Wen Ning took another lick of ice cream, her face beaming with a smile, looking more like an innocent young girl. Her makeup today was very light, with a touch of blush, and her three-dimensional and deep features were modified by her, giving her a somewhat peaceful appearance. Jian Luo was transfixed, and reached out to gently touch Wen Ning's face. It was smooth and elastic, and very white. Could it be that she was jealous? Jian Luo, I can't tell, you're still a jealous king. I didn't speak to them, and I don't look down on those people either, let's go. Jian Luo stammered and retorted, I'm not jealous. Really? You looked pretty angry just now, and you wanted to beat them up. Wen Ning poked Jian Luo in the chest. Still not admitting it? Jian Luo's ears turned red, and he whispered, No, let's go on the roller coaster. Wen Ning didn't expose him either, the arrogant little jealous boyfriend, really good. Get on the roller coaster and fasten your seatbelt. Jian Luo gently took Wen Ning's hand, Are you scared? If you are, hold my hand. Okay, I am really scared. Wen Ning grabbed Jian Luo's arm. With you here, I'm not afraid, you'll protect me. Jian Luo nodded. He had heard that girls were afraid of this, and it seemed that Wen Ning was no exception. I should have known not to ride this, what if I scare Wen Ning? Jian Luo regretted a little. The car started, Wen Ning held Jian Luo's hand tightly, her eyes closed, her eyelashes trembling slightly. Jian Luo, I'm scared. Don't be, I'm here. Jian Lu finally stood up, and it was his turn to protect Wen Ning. In the end, when they reached the highest point, Jian Lu was also a little scared, so he closed his eyes and nervously held Wen Ning's hand. It's so high. Wen Ning opened her eyes, raised the corners of her lips, and in a sweet voice said, Jian Lu, I'm scared. Jian Luo kept her eyes closed, her heartbeat reaching a crescendo. She didn't know that Wen Ning was looking at her at that moment. The car finally went down, and there were screams all around. Jian Luo opened her eyes, and next to her Wen Ning's eyes were tightly shut, looking really scared. I never thought that this female devil could be scared. Chapter 90 on the Ferris wheel. Thrilling. After getting off, Jian Lu immediately supported Wen Ning. Are you okay? I knew I shouldn't have ridden if I was so scared. I'm fine. Wen Ning leaned into Jian Lu's embrace. What else are you going to do? I'll keep you company. Jian Lu said disdainfully, Let's go on the Ferris wheel. You can't ride anything else like this. Okay. Then the two of them got on the most romantic Ferris wheel and started their date. Sitting on the Ferris wheel eating fruit and desserts was very relaxing. Jiang Luo. When Ning is being naughty again, straddling Jiang Luo's lap, her two white arms hooked around his neck, offering up her red lips again. When Ning, you, don't be naughty, this is still on the Ferris wheel, people can see from outside. Jiang Luo pushed away the woman who was clinging to him, leaning against the glass behind him, as if he were the one being forced. When Ning held Jiang Luo's face and asked, "Don't you like me?" "No." "Ha? You just don't like me." Jiang Luo explained, "I don't dislike you. People can see us here. Can we kiss at home?" "So you're afraid of being seen by others?" "Don't worry, it's so high up here, no one can see us." When Ning kissed him again, gently kissing Jiang Luo's lips, chin, and Adam's apple. "Jiang Luo, do you not like me?" The woman in his arms is beautiful, has a great figure, and is still his girlfriend. Those seductive fox eyes are captivating. Even if Jiang Luo were a saint, he couldn't resist, and he pushed Wen Ning against the wall, captured her lips, and kissed her fiercely. A smile crossed Wen Ning's eyes. Her little puppy dog has finally turned into a little wolf dog. Wen Ning hugged Jiang Luo's neck, her voice seductive. Jiang Luo's mouth was dry from listening, and he held Wen Ning's waist, which was not easy to hold, in his large hands and kissed her again, not giving Wen Ning any chance to catch her breath. He actually didn't know how to do this. Wen Ning had taught him everything, and she had corrupted him. Jiang Luo panted, and the sound of their breathing echoed in the small space. Wen Ning leaned against Jiang Luo's chest with her hair messy, her lipstick smudged, and bright red kiss marks on her neck. Jiang Lu just remembered what he had just done. He had actually given in to temptation. Wen Ning pinched Jiang Lu's red earlobes and teased him deliberately, "What are you going to do about the state I'm in? How am I going to go out and meet people?" Jiang Lu was at a loss for what to do. He had just been carried away by his emotions and had lost control of himself, so he had kissed her a little too hard. "You put my jacket over your head so that no one can see you, and I'll carry you out." Wen Ning laughed softly. "You're going to hold me? And cover my face with your shirt? You want the whole amusement park to know what we did on the Ferris wheel?" Jiang Lu's face turned red, and he whispered, "So what do you suggest we do? The lipstick is smudged, but it can be fixed. The hickey can be covered too. Don't worry, it's no big deal. I can handle anything you do." When Ning picked Jiang Luo's chin up and raised her eyebrows, "Do you want to try something more extreme?" Jiang Luo's Adam's apple moved slightly and he turned his head and said, "No, not here, not in public. The glass here is still transparent, what if someone sees us?" That's his future wife. When Ning gently kissed Jiang Luo's cheek. "Okay, we'll try again tonight, I booked the couple's suite, we'll spend the night in the couple's suite." "You booked a couple's suite tonight, so we're not going home? What about Nuonyuo and Little Dolphin?" Jiang Lu was anxious to go home and see his daughter. He's so anxious that he can't stand it if he can't see her for a day. Nuonyuo and Little Dolphin are both being looked after by the postpartum nanny, so it's time for the two of us to have some time to ourselves. When Ning takes lipstick out of her bag to touch up her makeup, uses an air cushion to cover the kiss mark on her neck, and then sprinkles some loose powder on it, so it's completely invisible. The Ferris wheel stopped, and Jiang Luo and Wen Ning got off together. They had lunch at the Chinese restaurant. The two of them ate a simple lunch together, looking just like an ordinary couple. "Jiang Luo, I don't eat cilantro. I don't eat celery either." Jiang Luo ate the dishes that Wen Ning had picked out. For the first time, he didn't feel that the evil woman Wen Ning was so aloof. Now, he felt that Wen Ning was like his girlfriend. It felt real. Wen Ning continued to pick, "I don't eat broccoli either." Jiang Luo asked, "Why are you so picky? If you don't like it, you eat it." "Okay, I'll eat it." Jiang Luo ate everything that Wen Ning had picked out. The two had the simplest lunch, and when Jiang Luo paid, it only cost a little over 200 yuan. Usually, when they eat at home, a dish may cost more than 200 yuan. Wen Ning has everyone prepare the best seafood, meat, and dairy products from New Zealand. It's nice to occasionally live an ordinary person's life. Jiang Luo took the initiative to hold Wen Ning's hand and said, "Why don't we go to the movies? It's been almost a year since we last went to the movies." "Okay, you choose. Let's see what's playing this afternoon." Jiang Luo casually swiped his phone. There were actually quite a few afternoon showings, since it was the weekend. In the end, Jiang Luo chose a healing anime. After all, a big boy like him just likes to watch anime. The pure love anime Firefly streamer. When Ning didn't really care, she didn't have a particular favorite genre. Zhang Luo bought Wen Ning popcorn, milk tea, all kinds of snacks. If others have it, his girlfriend must have it too. When Ning looked at the things in her hands, tiptoed and kissed Zhang Luo's side of the face. "Thank you, I like it very much." Zhang Luo blushed and said, "As long as you like it, let's go in quickly, it's about to start soon." Okay. Zhang Lu bought the tickets late, and the seats were in the corner by the side. It was dark here, so it was suitable for doing something else. Zhang Lu ate a piece of popcorn, and Wen Ning turned her head and said, "Feed me." Zhang Lu stuffed a piece into Wen Ning's mouth, and her finger accidentally touched her lips. Wen Ning licked it lightly, and Zhang Lu froze. "Zhang Lu, what's wrong with you?" Zhang Lu came back to his senses, his Adam's apple rolling slightly. Nothing. Was it his illusion? He felt like Wen Ning was seducing him. A blatant seduction. Drink milk tea. Wen Ning took a sip and handed it to Zhang Luo. Zhang Luo took a sip and returned it to Wen Ning. "You drink it, I don't like milk tea." During the movie, Wen Ning was also being naughty, holding Zhang Luo's hand. "Zhang Luo, you feed me." Zhang Luo was distracted while watching the movie, feeding Wen Ning popcorn, and as a result, her finger was bitten again. "Ugh, Zhang Luo, that's too deep." Zhang Luo suddenly looked back, immediately withdrew his hand, and helplessly said, "Wen Ning, stop messing around and watch the movie properly." "You're asking for it. How did he get such a flirtatious girlfriend?"